They tried to shut them up.
There's no guarantee to free speech.
They tried to cancel them.
Deplatforming works.
They even threw them in jail.
Peter Navarro,
Steve Bannon,
now in prison.
But they couldn't stop them.
It's not a prison bill that will ever shut me up.
They call them rebels.
Basket of deplorables.
They call them rogues.
They claim to values or religion.
And they say they're outlaws.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
War Room presents Rebels, Rogues, and Outlaws.
You set out to take Vienna. Take Vienna!
The national bestseller by longtime Bannon producer Dan Fluette. Take a journey through the pictorial history of War Room. In a culture that celebrates the weak, show your support by standing with the rebels. Go to doitfluette.com or scan the QR code on your screen. Use the code RAV20 for 20% off your order. Stand with the rebels and never back down.
happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is...
Administration officials tell CBS News President Trump signed a proclamation to ban travel from certain countries, citing national security risks.
We will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm.
Ordering a wide-ranging investigation into former President Joe Biden and his aides. Trump is accusing the aides of covering up Biden's alleged cognitive decline and using the auto pen to sign bills and assert exclusive presidential power, including on pardons, executive orders, and other documents.
President Joe Biden's White House secretary announced she is leaving the Democratic Party. According to a press release about her upcoming book, Karine Jean-Pierre will be registering as an independent.
Judge hits pause on the deportation of the Colorado firebombing suspect's family.
Arizona's Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs has vetoed a bill preventing Chinese ownership of land in the state. The Republican-backed legislation barred the Chinese government from holding a stake of 30% or more in any Arizona property.
Friedrich Merz took office just weeks ago, and while he and President Trump have spoken on the phone since then, this will actually be the first time that they've met in person.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily here live, Washington, D.C. Today is June 5th, 2025, Anno Domini. Well, the battle of the bill has begun. President Trump and Elon Musk trading shots back and forth, one in the Oval Office, the other on X. And people have seen this completely going back and forth, the spiraling, the tweets, the comments, everybody's seeing it here. And here's what I want to say. And I want to preface this with what I said on the show yesterday. Debt is important. The debt is an important issue. Of course it is. It absolutely is. This is something, and you go and look at the work we've done, talking about the bond market here, talk about the work we've done, talking about deficits, talking about the reason that we need tariffs to be able to reset all of these things. The debt is an important issue. Of course it is. Foreign policy is an important issue. Of course it is. All of these things are important issues. But there is one issue that is more critical to not only the political backbone of all of MAGA and the existential future of the United States of America. And that is the issue of immigration. There are too many migrants in this country, and they are driving up prices everywhere. They're ruining all of our systems. And by the way, driving up our debt through direct and indirect use and abuse of entitlement programs. Okay? If you want to have a country, you need to mass deport at least 10 million people. Probably a lot more than that. I'm saying that is the ballpark conservative estimate of how many mass deportations that we're going to need, and then self-deportations will commence. This must be done. Programs like H-1B, H-2B, J-1, all of these other programs out there that are rife with abuse, that needs to be taken care of. If you want to have a country that has a debt to worry about, that has foreign policy to worry about, that has all of these other things to worry about, that's what you've got to do. So there's a category error going on here. It's a category error. Are we going to have a country or not? Because right now, this bill, the big, beautiful deportation bill, that's what it is. It's in the Senate. It can be passed. It can get through. It only needs 50 votes, and JD can break the tie. And we can actually get our country back and set the table to be able to address all of these other issues. That's what Donald Trump ran for. That's what we voted for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for anybody else. I voted for Donald Trump, and all of us voted for Donald Trump to be president of the United States. And these were the issues he ran on. Be right back.
Understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the Second American Revolution.
All right, Jack Posobiec, we are back here. Human Events Daily, Real America's Voice, the Salem Radio Network, live in Washington, D.C. Want to bring in Hour 3, Charlie Kirk audience here. The Battle of the Bill. We're going to be talking about all of this and more on today's show. But folks, first, listen up, because I got a question. If you are still drinking that corporate watered down nonsense that you call coffee, do you think it's time for a serious wake-up call? Because Blackout Coffee isn't just coffee, it's a statement, a declaration that you're done with weak beans and weak values. We're talking high-octane American roasted fuel for those who grind harder, stand taller, and never back down. Look, I love Blackout Coffee. This is what keeps me going. No jet lag post-so. That's how you get that, especially no dad lag when you're dealing with kids stuff or just house stuff in general, car trouble. Blackout Coffee isn't playing games. They're cranking out more bags than ever, shipping faster than ever, and keeping you locked in with coffee that actually fires you up. Whether you're chasing big goals, crushing the daily grind, or just refusing to drink coffee made by people who hate you, Blackout Coffee has your back. So stop settling. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/POSO and use promo code POSO for 20% off your first order. Brew like a patriot. Brew Blackout. That's blackoutcoffee.com/POSO. Stay awake, not woke. I want to bring in now the Breitbart News Washington, D.C. Bureau Chief, Matt Boyle. And I wanted to talk about this. So, Boyle, we were originally planning to have you on to sort of talk about what the count is on the big, beautiful bill, the big, beautiful deportation bill, as I've been saying it. But there's other elements as well, including the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, a number of other items, line items that are coming in here. But the main thing and the main thrust, I think, for Trump supporters and Trump voters is the understanding that this is the bill that gets us mass deportations. This is the top issue. This is the number one issue for Trump supporters. And now we're seeing this huge backlash. Now, it started as a backlash in the Senate. Budget hawks and deficit hawks like Rand Paul had come in on it, a few others, Mike Lee and Ron Johnson, who had some issues with it. But now Elon Musk weighing in, and we've seen it, just an absolute missive over on X. Boyle, walk us through what's going on with this bill.
So first off, I would say that the backlash that you're seeing, so quote unquote, I don't know if I would say it's as big a backlash as people think. I think the Republicans in the Senate are going to find a way to get a version of the big, beautiful bill that's probably pretty similar to the House passed version through the United States Senate, probably by the end of the month. That would be my guess, or maybe by early July. And then they're going to get a bill to the president's desk. And why is that? Because there's so many things that ride on this. The president's entire agenda and legacy are on the line here. In addition to that, the entire national economy is on the line. If they don't pass something, the 2017 tax rates are going to expire. We're going to have a massive tax hike on Americans of every income bracket across the country. So from lower middle class folks, they're going to see huge tax increases on them. If the Senate doesn't get this done, and if Congress doesn't get a final product to the president's desk. In addition to that, as you mentioned, the bill has all sorts of things in there with regard to immigration enforcement. It's really incredible stuff, like more ICE resources, it's just more for immigration enforcement. So there are some things that some conservatives didn't necessarily like in the House, but everybody but one Republican in the House, and that's Thomas Massey, voted for the bill. So even the hardest core conservatives like Chip Roy and those guys, they voted for the bill, right? The fact is that why would they vote for that when it increases the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, which amounts out to about 2 years? Well, because of all the other stuff that's in there. Now, there are people out there that think that the bill should be doing DOGE cuts. This is not the place for DOGE cuts. DOGE cuts happen in rescissions and in the appropriations process. This is a reconciliation bill. So process-wise, you can't do DOGE cuts in this because the DOGE cuts are discretionary spending. This is mandatory spending stuff. They can do some Medicaid stuff and whatnot. There's other people that, like Rand Paul, that want to see the debt ceiling pulled out of this and voted on clean, or shortened significantly. He says he would be willing to go. I talked to Senator Paul a little over a week ago. In fact, I think it was my interview with Senator Paul that really kicked a lot of this stuff off. But he said to me that he'd be willing to go to like 3 to 6 months or something on the debt ceiling in there. Now, part of the reason why President Trump wants to have a 2-year debt ceiling for $5 trillion in this thing is because at a certain point, you're going to come up on the debt ceiling date anyway. And when that day comes, you're either going to make a deal where the Republicans vote for it, and frankly, the vast majority of the Republicans don't like to vote for debt ceiling increases, or you're going to have to make a deal with the Democrats to get it done, because they're never going to let the nation default. Nobody's ever going to let them go over the debt ceiling and default. So this is why President Trump has even advocated something that even Elizabeth Warren has advocated as well. So there's populist bipartisan support for this, of getting rid of the debt ceiling altogether. Now, I don't know if Republicans would go for that. But the fact that the vast majority of House Republicans, a majority, voted for a 2-year debt ceiling increase is a big deal. And I would imagine that the Senate will figure out a way to get there. Now, at the same time, you also have, as you mentioned, Elon Musk and what he's going through here. Obviously, this comes the week after Elon left the White House. It does seem like this is a pretty bad breakup between the two of them. I've seen Elon Musk out there taking credit for Donald Trump being the president. There's no doubt that Elon Musk helped President Trump in a big way last year during the campaign. But the idea that President Trump would have lost without him is just nonsense. It's totally untrue. And frankly, Elon's not the president. Trump is, right? Like, so Trump is the person that people voted for. The American people entrusted the man who's in the Oval Office to make these decisions for them and to lead the country. And he's the leader of the movement. So it does seem like this is a little bit of a bad breakup. There are some things between the two of them, in particular in the bill specifically. It gets rid of the electric vehicle tax credits and whatnot. Elon has said that he's okay with getting rid of those, I guess. So he's okay with that staying in the bill, but that would cost Tesla a lot of money. So that's one thing as to one motive for him. There's also some bad blood.
By the way, like I wouldn't even, I wouldn't have even had a huge problem. And I'll just say this: I wouldn't have had a huge problem if that was still in the bill, if the tax credit for EV was still in there. Honestly, for everything, because of everything that he did do, as many people did, no one did as much as Donald Trump. But sure, fine. It doesn't really bother me that much. Why? Because of what I was saying before, that if this gets us, this is politics, right? Guys, it's politics, right? It's not like you don't get to come in here and say, oh, well, I want this perfect thing and that. No, it's politics. It's about cutting deals. That's how that works. So if that's the deal, if you get this support and then other things down the line, and he wants the EV, like, it's honestly, I'll make that deal. If it means we get the mass deportations, I will make that deal. Why? Because mass deportations are that important. 1 minute to the break, Matt Boyle.
Yeah, look, I would just say, though, I have been tracking what Elon is doing and saying for many months now, dating back to the election last year and since then. And there's always been something uneasy with him, right? He opposed the tariffs. The tariffs are a massive source of revenue for the federal government. Even the CBO admits the tariffs are going to raise a significant amount of revenue, more than this bill would lose, right? Like, so he's opposed to that. He's been opposed to immigration enforcement. So he's been somebody who has been weakly aligned with President Trump anyway over the course of this year. And it seems like this breakup, if you will, has been destined to happen for some time. He's never really been a natural fit at President Trump's side. It's been obvious from the beginning, and I think that what you're seeing now play out was destined to happen. And I think that the Senate Republicans and the congressional Republicans writ large understand that, get it, and they also understand the importance of the moment here, and they're going to do everything they can to get this done.
Quick break. Matt Boyle, Jack Posobiec, coming right back.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice headlines. President Trump says he has spoken with Vladimir Putin about Ukraine's strike destroying Russian planes. President Trump taking to Truth Social to share his thoughts on his recent call with Russian President Putin. He says they spoke for over an hour, and while Trump describes it as a, quote, good conversation, he does not believe it will lead to immediate peace. They discussed the recent attacks in Russia, and Putin says he, quote, will have to respond. Trump and Putin also discussed Iran and found some common ground, agreeing that the Middle Eastern nation cannot have a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has recovered the bodies of 2 hostages in southern Gaza. Officials say that they recovered the bodies of 70-year-old Judy Weinstein Haggai and her husband Gadi Haggai, who were killed near their homes when Hamas attacked southern Israel in 2023. They were taken back to Israel for forensic identification. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated, "We will not rest and we will not be silent until all our hostages, both the living and the fallen, are brought home." Officials say they believe there are 56 hostages still being held by Hamas, and at least 20 of those are thought to be alive. Meanwhile, President Trump ordered the Justice Department to investigate Joe Biden's auto pen use for pardons. Trump says Attorney General Pam Bondi and any other relevant department heads should look into if certain individuals in the Biden administration try to deceive the public about Biden's mental state. Trump's memo claimed Biden's mental state was declining at the end of his term, but his signature appeared on documents that put in significant policy changes and pardons. And President Trump has signed a proclamation banning travel to the U.S. from at least 12 countries. The proclamation cited national security reasons for the ban, and some of those countries are Iran, Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, the Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and Libya. There are also 7 other countries that have travel to the U.S. partially restricted, like Cuba and Venezuela. Those are your Real America's Voice headlines. We now return to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Today, they talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, he's done a great job.
All right, folks, Jack Posobiec back live, Human Events Daily. Folks, if you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it all works. Criminals can forge your signature, steal your identity on one document, and then use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's the only time you're going to find out. So when's the last time you actually checked your home title? Well, if your answer is, never, you need to do something about it right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use promo code POSO. That's my code over at HometitleLock.com. You get a free title history report and a free trial with their $1 million triple lock protection. That is, you get 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes. And if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Look, you need to do this right now. This has been going on, and it's only going to continue. Go to HometitleLock.com and use promo code POSO. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code POSO. Okay, we've got Matt Boyle on here, the DC bureau chief for Breitbart News. We're walking through the politics of all of this. So Matt, Elon Musk up on X right now. He's threatening to create a new political party to fund that, to run against Republicans and Democrats, presumably in the midterms. A lot of stuff going on. What's your read on it?
Well, creating a new political party is a lot of work. You would need to fight to get ballot access in a whole bunch of different places. You would have to. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's not like just calling up a bunch of buddies and saying we're going to start a political party and, voila, Monday morning it started. No, there's a lot of work that goes into starting a political party. Could he do it? Maybe. Could he focus for more? Let's put it this way. It takes a lot more than 130 days worth of work to start a political party, right? Like, so, he worked for 130 days in the White House and the administration. He did a lot of interesting and cool and important stuff. And I know that the president viewed all the things he was doing there as very important at those, but the fact is that you don't just get to phone it in. You have to actually do the work. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of money, et cetera. I don't know if that works out so well. So maybe, you never know, right? Like, but it's been since what, the 1800s sometimes, since the last time we had a new major political party come on the scene. We've got two parties in this country. That's just kind of how it works in America. You've got a two-party system where either the Republicans win or the Democrats win. And the fight is inside the Republican Party, frankly, for conservatives, is about electing better Republicans. And look, we've gotten a lot better Republicans over the last 10 years or so than we had, when I first started this whole thing, 15 years ago when I was working with Tucker and Bannon back in the day. But those numbers, they could be a lot better still too, right? There's still a lot of bad guys there.
Well, Matt, we did, by the way, and I've explained this to, even people on the left. I've been, kind of been doing some interesting podcasting lately with people I don't usually talk to, but I've always said MAGA was a third party. Okay, this was essentially a third party that was founded within the Republican Party. And it sort of started with the Tea Party, and a lot of that Tea Party DNA flowed into MAGA, and that's the genesis of how this movement got started. And so the fights were between the Democrats and the establishment Republicans. It's like we have to go back and explain to people what happened, and we're coming up actually on the 10-year anniversary of the escalator, and it's amazing that people you think this is just something that happens overnight. No, it took us a decade of a lot of work and going through a lot of crap just to get to this point. Final minute, Matt Boyle.
Yeah, look, and there's still more work to be done, right? Like, so we're finally, Mitch McConnell's still a senator, right? Like, so think about that, right? He's been a senator since the 1980s. He's still a senator. He will be until next year, but there's a huge opportunity upcoming in Kentucky, right? There's all these, there's these two McConnell guys running, and then there's a Trump-aligned guy, this guy named Morris that's running. So we'll see if that's another pickup opportunity, right? But each time there's an open seat, each time there's a credibly winnable primary, that's where to get engaged to actually continue to move the needle. But I think that Elon gets frustrated, and I agree with this, rightfully so, that the things don't happen fast enough. As much as I would like to click our fingers.
I think the frustration is understandable. I do, but you know what? That's gridlock. That's politics. That's Congress. Welcome to the game. Matt Boyle, go give him a follow, folks. Breitbart.com. Jack Posobiec coming back right after this break.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice headlines. President Donald Trump spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping this morning, according to the Chinese Foreign Ministry. And in a Truth Social post, Trump said that the two had a, quote, very good call and discussed some of the intricacies of the recent trade deal, saying there should no longer be any questions about the complexity of rare earth products. He indicated that teams from the two countries would be meeting shortly at a location to be determined. Trump also said that Xi invited him to visit China, which Trump also reciprocated. Meanwhile, Texas universities will soon become less woke as new legislation heading to Governor Greg Abbott's desk gives state boards more power to change the curriculum. Abbott is expected to sign the bill, joining states like Florida and Ohio in reshaping education standards. As soon as the ink is dry on his signature, higher education institutions throughout Texas will be able to review hiring practices and eliminate courses that promote woke teachings like DEI and gender ideology. Universities will now need to ensure each course is, quote, necessary to prepare students for civic and professional life, equip them for the workforce, and are worth the cost to students. And today, the Supreme Court sided with a Wisconsin Catholic charity group in a case regarding unemployment tax credits for religious institutions, which is a victory for these institutions. In a unanimous opinion, the court issued that the state had engaged in, quote, an unnecessary entanglement in attempting to define whether religious groups should be entitled to a tax exemption based on religious behavior. Now, regarding the debt ceiling, President Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday, I'm very pleased to announce that after all of these years, I agree with Senator Elizabeth Warren on something. The debt limit should be entirely scrapped to prevent an economic catastrophe. It is too devastating to be put in the hands of political people that may want to use it despite the horrendous effect it could have on our country and indirectly even the world. As to Senator Warren's second statement, I also like that, but it would have to be done over a period of time. Those are your headlines. Now we'll return to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
And Jack, where's Jack? Where's Jack? Where is he? Jack, I want to see you. Great job, Jack. Thank you. What a job you do. You know, we have an incredible thing. We're always talking about the fake news and the bad, but we have guys, and these are the guys who should be getting Pulitzers.
All right, Jack Posobiec, we are back live, Real America's Voice and Coast to Coast on the Salem Radio Network, bringing in, of course, that third hour of the Charlie Kirk program. So we got into this dust up between Elon Musk and President Trump, and that's obviously still ongoing. I'm sure President Trump's going to have some interesting Truth Socials for us as that comes, and we'll be looking for it if it does, or perhaps we're going to get a phone call and maybe the two of them will talk things out of me. Just got off the phone with Putin yesterday. He was on the phone with Xi Jinping, so we know how President Trump is when he's being diplomatic. However, I know someone who isn't always diplomatic, and sometimes you need other methods to solve your issues. And when you do, you might turn to, I don't know, former Special Forces sniper like Tim Kennedy. And Tim Kennedy joins us now. What's up, Tim?
Hey, how you doing, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't. When I think of Tim Kennedy, I don't think of diplomacy. You know what I'm saying? That's other options, other methods.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the type of peace that we want is going to be on the far side of war. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of violence. I'm quick to turn to violence, but I'm happy that for the first time, almost my entire life, we are not at war. So this is a nice change.
Well, no, I certainly agree. But it's interesting, though, because you talk to some of these guys. I was it's funny you mentioned that, because I was in a debate with the Libertarian candidate for president, Chase Oliver, last year. And we were talking cartels, and we were talking the narco and the rat lines across the border and fentanyl and, the whole 9 yards of the issue. And I said to him, he said, you're never going to stop this until you stop the demand in the north of the border. I said, yeah, I agree that's a problem, but I do think there's other options we could use. And he said, options like what? And I said, well, we could just kill them. We could just go after the cartels and use violence to kill them and disrupt their networks and actually take them out. And you should have seen just the look on, deer in the headlights, totally frozen, going into vapor lock. The moderator's like turning at me like, what? You can't say that. What do you mean I can't say that? Of course, they're cartels. There's certain types of people that, the diplomacy and the negotiation and, socioeconomic issues, it just ain't going to work. But if you take them out, that actually works pretty well.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really accurate representation of some problems that we're going to be having in the coming conflicts. We are not going to be fighting against state actors. We got so comfortable fighting this named bad person, right? Like these radical, fundamental, violent extremist organizations, or like the Germans, or the Koreans, or But now, moving forward, we're going to be fighting proxy armies. We can label them Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis, but really they're just branches of a state actor that's funding other organizations to fight against us. Just like we're going to be fighting corporations, we're going to be fighting cartels, we're going to be fighting syndicated criminal organizations and international criminal groups. It's just not going to be the type of warfare that Americans have ever understood, but that's the warfare that we have in the future. And you're 100% right. The only way that these people understand win or lose is really bodies on the floor. So it's going to come down to who's dealing the death, and we're going to have to do it.
Well, and it's incredible too, because they say, these cartels, you're talking about it like it's like a business operation or something. Are you like? Guys, have people seen what's going on just south of our border, and in many cases north of our border? I'm sorry, we weren't even planning on talking about this, but it's so crazy to me when you look at the level of brutality that various cartels are operating in. And in fact, that's how they become the top cartel in many cases, some of which, unfortunately, at times received training from our own U.S. military, then turned around, broke away from Mexican special forces, and then began forming their own cartels where they're doing beheadings, they're doing family reprisals, they're doing all of this stuff. And so when President Trump and Pete Hegseth, who's doing a fantastic job over as our SecDef, when they actually start turning towards this problem set, I predict that unfortunately there's going to be a period of time where things get worse before they get better.
Yeah, I totally concur. The type of violence that we're going to be seeing are the things of horror stories. These are people skinned alive that are hung from bridges. Like the best thing that could happen is you're decapitated. That's not really what the cartels are doing, because they're trying to send a message. They are recruiting the poor, they're recruiting the uneducated, and they manipulate them via leverage of, hey, we're going to destroy your family, we're going to torture your sister, we're going to murder your wife and your kids if you don't do these things for us. But this is the type of warfare that we have ahead of us, and we're at a very unique position where our hero level adversaries, they want to see disruption and instability and lack of security within the United States. So when you see Iran and you see China, you see Russia, like let's call a spade. We're currently in a variety of ways at war with them, and those countries are using mechanisms like the cartel to destabilize Americans. They want fentanyl in here. They want pornography on our screens. They want our border to be a mess because it's easier for them to operate, and a destabilized America is a vulnerable America for them.
Well, of course, look, they understand they're not going to be the Americans in a peer-to-peer battle. The Chinese aren't going to beat us on the water, and the Russians aren't going to beat us on land. We get that. However, they also understand that if they can get us fighting each other, if they can get us bogged down, if they can get us totally either, as you say, wrapped up on fentanyl, wrapped up on pornography, which is sort of a digital fentanyl to begin with, then guess what? We are going to be so worried about those internal issues and so much internal division that we're not going to be able to deal with any of these things. And one of the things that I think President Trump is rightfully doing so is also looking around the world and understanding, okay, where do we need our footprint the most? Where do we actually, and he's going through an assessment. He's going through, and it's like an audit, right? He's doing a business audit, and he's a businessman, of our foreign policy to say what makes the most sense for us, where can we cut a deal, or by the way, where is something we can cut a deal and say, look, we've got Gulf partners here. They could deal with this issue better than we can. Why? Because it's in their own backyard. So they can deal with this. Let's build up that partner force capacity, have them come in, take, they'll deal with the Shia militia group or whatever it is, don't have to put our guys in harm's way only when it matters, and then taking back some of these other issues here back at home. But, one of the things, and they wanted us to talk about this, and my producers are mentioning it as well, They're talking about My Patriot Supply because, unfortunately, I do predict that we are going to go through this period of instability as all of these geopolitical forces are aimed at the United States. When the United States is going through all of this, and President Trump is helping us to rebuild Fortress America, which has been totally forgotten. But guess what? We're going to have the Chinese, we're going to have the Iranians, we're going to have the Russians, we're going to have the cartels. I was going viral the other day talking about, would you really think the Chinese haven't spread drones up through the border and put them on all that farmland right next to our bases to do the exact same thing that the Ukrainians just did to the Russians? Of course they have. Okay, so what's the response going to be when they do that? And, you know, one of the things that said, look, President Trump's going to help with that. But one of the things that My Patriot Supply is doing right now, they're coming in and saying, look, there's instability. There's issues with the power grid, which we know that obviously there have been sabotage networks in this country that have been targeting our power grid. It's just clear at this point. And based on all the things that you're saying, you know, it's so obvious to me. So that's why I think it's so, people know My Patriot Supply for the food. They've just come in. Tell me about this new Grid Doctor 3300 that they're releasing for the summer, which is the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, that thing's incredible. I couldn't agree more, Jack. You know, we have some very scary times ahead of us, and you can only prepare for a crisis before the crisis occurs. So you have to have this stuff in your home before something bad happens. Our entire infrastructure is incredibly vulnerable, and we've seen that time and time again, whether it's one boat that hits a bridge and then that entire area can't even get fuel. You know, the power falling in Texas, for example, we had one bad storm. We lost power for almost a week. There were rolling blackouts during a fire. We just have a much more vulnerable system, and we've been comfortable because it's been really, really, really nice. But there are scary times ahead of us, and that power bank, you know, you can stack these batteries. You have solar panels to recharge them. I use them in my Land Cruiser when I'm camping, when I'm going overland. That Grid Doctor, I have been in Ukraine, Afghanistan, Mexico, using all sorts of different battery packs. These are the best ones out there. I travel with my family with them. I have all of my meat backed up with that battery wall, and using all of those, you know, the mechanisms to recharge those batteries. So I never have to worry about it. Then I don't have to live in fear. So then no matter what happens, I know I'm good. I know my family's good. It's kind of back to that very original American idea of individual responsibility. I'm not going to be looking for the government to come and help me or save me, because the government's going to have its own problems. If the grid falls, if we're having difficulties purifying water, nobody's going to come and save you. You're going to have to self-rescue, and you're going to have everything that you need. We used all of this stuff in Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. We were dropping those battery packs in with Elon Musk's Starlinks to give people connectivity. So then we were able to find out who is actually in, you know, like surviving by a thread. And these are the exact tools that we used to save lives.
And this is, look, and by the way, folks, I don't want this stuff to happen. I would much prefer this stuff not to happen. But I also understand that for our country to get where we are now and to solve the problems that we do have right now, we've got to pass through this crucible. We just do. And this stuff isn't going to go away without a fight. And that will cause issues. That's going to cause, go look at the grid in Western Europe. We just fell apart, just completely fell apart. The grid down in South Africa, it only works for like 12 hours a day, and they do rolling blackouts. So the east side has power. Now the west side has power. You got kids in South Africa right now that are doing their homework with flashlights, you know, flash bulbs attached to their heads, basically, because they don't have power. They can't even charge their cell phones. And so that's why, and look, folks, I don't want any of this to happen, but I want my family to be ready, right? And my friends and my loved ones to be ready should something happen. And that's why when you look at the Grid Doctor, when you look at the stuff that My Patriot Supply has, and we've got it up, mypatriotsupply.com/Jack, you go, you take a look for yourself. You take a look at the deals that are out there right now. There are some great deals, and boom, you can have that peace of mind. I always say, you know, when it comes to their food kits, just grab one, throw in the trunk of your car. Just throw in the trunk of your car. You have some car trouble. I actually had some car trouble this week. I mentioned it the other day, and I didn't have the kids in the car with me. But God forbid, right? God forbid, because we got two little boys, and, you know, they start getting a little antsy. They need a little something. You're waiting for that tow truck, AAA, whatever it is. you got something that's going to be on. So mypatriotsupply.com/Jack. They've got 2 waterproof 200-watt solar panels that you can get in for free. That's a almost $900 value. It's a ton. Go and check it out. Folks, we're on with Tim Kennedy. We've got a quick break right now. We're going to come back. President Trump's response to Elon is out. We're going to read that for you right after the break. Stay tuned.
Get ready to launch into the future of freedom at the largest student event in the nation. SAS is back. Join thousands of fellow students ready to pioneer a bold new era for America at our Student Action Summit. And we're bringing in the biggest voices in the movement. Featuring Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Dr. Ben Carson, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Brandon Tatum, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, and more. From July 11th through 13th in Tampa, Florida. Register now at SAS2025.com.
I'm working long hours. I'm always listening to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
All right, Jack Posobiec back live here, Human Events Daily, Washington, D.C. President Trump has responded to Elon Musk, and as promised, we're not going to pull punches here, and certainly President Trump isn't either. We're going to read it in full. So President Trump's first response: Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted. He knew for months I was going to do it, and he just went crazy. That was the first Truth Social. The second Truth Social, though, is much, much more over the top than this one. He says the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. So we're on with Tim Kennedy, folks, and we've been talking about the domestic instability and destabilization, and I guess we're seeing a little destabilization here. But Tim, you and I were just chatting during the break as we were reading these that people aren't used to seeing this, because this is the way that alpha males communicate. This is the way that men talk to each other. When they have a problem, they hash it out. They go hard. Guess what? This is how my brother and I talk to each other when we go at it, right? He's still my brother, but when we go at it, we go hard, and we go hard in the paint. This is not the rule by consensus Biden, like, oh, let's go have a committee for him. No, we're going to go hard, and then we're going to make the decision. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, this is actually effective communication. And I know that every C-suite HR person's pulling their hair out. Like, you can't talk like this in government. No, this is actually how you get things done. When you have high agency people that aren't looking for the permission of other people about how to say things, when to say things, they're not going to say, hey, let's take a vote about if it's okay for me to push back on this idea. President Trump is the president. And then Elon Musk was an advisor, as a special employee, but he really had no authority or authorization that wasn't granted by the president. So you have to be on that team. You're 100% behind the president, or if you're not value added, then you're going to be a detriment to the objectives, the initiatives that the president's trying to do. Everybody knows that Elon Musk is brilliant, as does President Trump. President Trump is going to be absolutely direct. We're just not used to this being public. We're not used to people having these communications in front of billions of other people. But that's what's happening. These are just two high agency people that are trying to hash it out a little bit. And we have to, I guess we get to sit and watch with a little bit of popcorn.
They were all along for the ride, but no, I actually appreciate this. This is something where, in the past, we're always asked, we didn't even know for 4 years who the president was. And it probably wasn't Joe Biden. We had this auto pen, and whoever was controlling it. Did Hunter Biden pardon himself? All this. And right now, you're actually seeing just, I don't know, part of me wants to step back and say, you're seeing something that, as you say, would normally be behind closed doors. But what an opportunity to actually see how the sausage is made, how the decisions are going down, how these conversations are happening. And and what two better individuals on the planet than two of certainly the most powerful people, the richest man in the world and the most powerful president in the world, just having it out.
Yeah, we just saw President Trump, at the border, and there's a video. It's from Secret Service where they wanted to pull him off to the side to do an interview. And he said, one of the people right here said that it's not safe for me to go over there. Even like, if that were President Biden, if a handler had said, hey, you need to shuffle over there, he would have just walked over there mindlessly. But what we see is we see the man in charge. We see the proper executive in the White House, in the West Wing, that's making decisions. And you're either going to be supporting him. If you are one of the appointees that were then confirmed, you are 100% going to be in that camp. Whether you are a former Democrat, whether it says director or secretary in front of your name, you are going to work for him, with him, to support his agenda, his initiatives as part of his administration, or you're gonna get the raw end of a couple of Truth Social posts.
Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. I voted for Donald Trump in the election. I didn't vote for anybody else. JD, of course, was on the ballot as well, but that's who I voted for. That's who America voted for. It was a team effort. Of course it was a team effort. Was it a coalition? Of course it was a coalition. But again, this is how high agency, I love the way you put it, this is how high agency individuals communicate, and you just got to see it. Tim, we're just out of time. Where can people go to follow you, brother?
Yeah, Tim Kennedy MMA on the social medias, but just keep fighting for this America. This war is not over for our country. Got it. We won in November. We have to keep fighting. Do not count your wins. We got to keep fighting. So, Jack, thank you for everything that you do.
God bless. Likewise, folks, and go be sure to check out mypatriotsupply.com/Jack. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
America's Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored, and it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now.
This is America's Voice Live.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gurley.
The pulse of the people.
We need somebody that's going to hear the people's voice.
The truth the mainstream won't touch.
This guy is, by definition, a globalist.
And the stories that matter.
Rav's own Ben Bergquam.
Right up over this hill, we got Armed Cartel. I see him.
Live.
Breaking news right now here on Real America's Voice.
Unfiltered.
These people are domestic terrorists.
And unapologetic.
We're here to take a stand for God and country. Let's feel good, doesn't it?
America's Voice Live starts now.
And welcome to America's Voice Live. I'm Steve Gurley. It's Thursday, the 5th of June. Thank you for joining us right here on Real America's Voice. As always, we have a lot to cover today, from Elon Musk and the big beautiful bill to the threat of Chinese communists bringing in pathogens to destroy our food supply. A lot to talk about today. Earlier today, Elon Musk made some negative comments about the big beautiful bill on X, calling it the big ugly bill, and saying that will only make things worse. Musk also said he is the only reason that Donald Trump won the election in 2024. President Trump seemed unfazed. He was in the Oval Office, and this is what he said.
Yeah, I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk, and even with the black eye, I said, "Do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." But he said, "No, I don't think so," which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best thing. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it.
Joining me now to discuss this, the Congressman from Arizona, Andy Biggs. Congressman, nice to see you again.
Good to be with you, Steve.
Greatly appreciate you being here. You're also running for governor. We'll get to that in a moment in the great state of Arizona. Let's start with Elon Musk, though. Basically burning the house down on his way out. Look, he was a big supporter here, and I understand the frustration. A lot of people would like to see some money cut from this bill, big chunks of money cut from this bill. I understand that. But to suggest that he is the only reason that Donald Trump won the election in 2024, what's your response to that?
I think Donald Trump kind of won this on policy and rejection by the voters to the Biden border crisis, to the economy, to the international weakness and standing in the world, and that Donald Trump, they knew what they were going to get. They'd had it before. They'd had a good economy. They'd had a border that was fairly under control before. I think Donald Trump did a great job winning this thing. And I thought in places like Arizona, the fact that we gave Donald Trump about 180,000 vote victory, best, by the way, in all the swing states, all the battleground states, is Arizona. So I think that, I'll tip my hat to Elon, give him due where he's due, but I think Donald Trump was a known commodity, and people wanted him much more than they wanted Kamala Harris, who was also, oddly enough, a known commodity.
Yeah. I mean, Elon contributed. I understand that, and I agree with that. And I applaud his efforts to push DOGE through to get government spending, waste, fraud, and abuse taken care of, removed whenever possible. But I think it's awfully telling when you say, I'm the only reason you won the election. Last time I looked, Elon Musk didn't get any votes. It's interesting. Donald Trump seemed very congenial, actually. He didn't really hit back in the Oval Office. He kind of said, he's got his opinion, and let it go at that. That seemed pretty statesmanlike for Donald Trump. Usually he'll hit harder, but in this case he did not. Do you think this relationship is repairable?
Yeah, I think so. I think Donald Trump has respect for Elon, but he's also, President Trump, in my experience personally, he's a very gracious guy. He can be very gracious, and I think he is genuinely appreciative of Elon Musk and his work. And Elon Musk experienced something I'm not sure that he knew that he would experience going in, and that's just the absolute vitriol of the left, who actually transferred some of their Trump derangement syndrome over to Elon for a while. So I think President Trump is genuinely respectful and grateful for what Elon Musk did, and I think I am too, and I think a lot of Americans are for what he was doing in DOGE, what he was trying to get done, and I'm very sympathetic with his frustrations, actually.
Yeah. I think, look, it takes a lot to run the companies that he runs, Tesla, SpaceX, and all the others. It's a lot harder to work inside government and get government to move. I think we can all appreciate that point of view, Congressman. I want to move on, though, about the big, beautiful bill. It's gone on to the Senate, and there are people that say they can't support it. People like the congressman from Wisconsin, Florida, Utah, Kentucky. You've got 4 Republicans who say right now they cannot support it, whether it's Ron Johnson or Rand Paul or the rest. Do you think they can find the cuts they need to make the bill something that they can say yes to?
Yeah, I hope so. Look, I know what they're trying to do, and if the bill incorporated the proposals that they had, this bill would be probably life-changing, generationally changing, and make this country significantly better. I think that they're going to get as much as they possibly can and push really hard on it, and that will make the bill better. I hope they do, because the bill could be better on the reduction side for sure, and that's where Elon Musk has got a problem, and that's where a lot of people have a problem, because you want to bend that spending arc down, Steve, because our biggest problem is not a revenue problem, it is a spending problem.
Clearly, and a debt crisis for the United States right now is about the easiest prediction that anybody could make. Now, I do want to shift gears. You've probably seen the headlines out of Michigan. The University of Michigan students were caught trying to bring in this fungus that would destroy wheat, corn, rice, and barley if it were allowed to propagate. Farmers that I've talked to said it could reduce yields by as much as 50%. Once again, the University of Michigan finds itself in the crosshairs of this controversy. Not the first time. Last year, 5 Chinese students from U of M were caught at Camp Grayling in northern Michigan taking photographs and pretending to be journalists while the Taiwanese were there doing exercises. You go back to COVID and you see what China has done there. And just recently in your state, the governor, Katie Hobbs, vetoed a bill that would have banned the CCP from buying farmland around sensitive areas. It's one of the reasons you're probably running for governor in that state now. How concerning that we see what is an agricultural bioweapon being brought into America. And as it stands now, yes, we have fungicides. Yes, we can control it. But if it became more virulent, if it became more powerful, it could trigger a worldwide famine. This is probably the most serious headline I've seen about the Chinese in a very long time. What say you?
I agree with you. I mean, I'm pleased that we caught these 2, but who haven't we caught? And this is part and parcel of recognizing finally that the Chinese are not just friends or economic competitors. They are geopolitical adversaries, and we have got to treat them that way. And don't forget, they're trying to squeeze us on critical minerals as well. So this is a major problem, and the Arizona governor, she's just facilitating that advancement of the Chinese agenda.
Now, one of the things that we see Donald Trump talk about is all of the money that comes in from foreign students. It is no secret, sir, that the Chinese Communist Party spends billions of dollars to send students to not just the University of Michigan, University of Arizona, Arizona State, to universities all over this country. And we know that they have walking orders to send back any information they may glean during their time in the United States. How should we approach this? What do you think should really be done? Donald Trump says we're not going to fund people that bring in foreign students like this, and the universities are screaming foul because they rely so heavily on that money. What do we do?
Well, I think you have to basically start taking away student visas and also federal funding for these schools that are using these foreign nationals, particularly the Chinese from adversary countries that are coming in. Look, don't forget, it wasn't too long ago when the CCP was setting up basically these remote police stations in some of our cities so they could keep track of Chinese nationals who were here so they could squeeze them. They exploit them and their families back home. They want to spy on the U.S. And China's stated goal is to become the world's hegemon. Well, guess what? That means that they're essentially, we're in a Cold War with China right now, and they're winning because we won't even acknowledge that it exists. So we've got to take some serious actions immediately.
Well, it's not just the universities that the Chinese Communist Party is funding. They fund a whole host of entities in this country, including media companies. Do you think that it's time that we figure out the foreign entities that are paying for the nightly news and the various networks and in the big newspapers? I mean, if you're getting paid and you're not doing your job as a reporter or as a news institution, shouldn't we pay attention to that?
100%. I mean, like I say, this is devolving into a Cold War situation like we had with the former Soviet Union, and that was not a pleasant time to consider. But the reality is we took actions to do everything we could to kind of squeeze the Soviet Union and make sure that people who were going to use whatever resources the Soviets might give them against us, we took steps to prevent that. And what you've got going on now is advancement and infiltration by the Chinese communists. You have, don't forget, when we let in 12 to 15 million people under Joe Biden, a significant portion of those people crossing the border in my own home state were from China. They were Chinese nationals coming in. This is a very huge problem, and right now, I think this administration gets it. The previous administration actually facilitated it, and that's going back quite a few years to the Clinton administration, which really totally gave a real setup to the CCP, quite frankly.
You mentioned something here that I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on this. That, of course, is the auto pen. An administration run by auto pen, it's becoming pretty evident that Joe Biden signed almost nothing. He came out, however, said he supported everything that got signed. He was right there for it. Then you see Karine Jean-Pierre say, I'm out. She's distancing herself from the Democrat Party. She was the spokesperson for 2 years, 8 months and change. She was the one out there telling you that he was sharp as a tack, could do one-handed push-ups and do algebra in his head. And now she's running. It makes me wonder, why would she distance herself so much from the Democrat Party? What is the true impact of the auto pen? And are we going to find answers? And what would the solution be if we found out that Joe Biden was, in fact, not authorizing these things?
Well, so the lot to unpack there, and so the Oversight and Judiciary Committee were both holding hearings and investigating. Here's my own view on this thing. There are criminal codes that could come into play here. There could be some criminal culpability, but if Joe Biden hadn't given authorization for the use of the auto pen, then you've got fraud, tampering, you've got impersonation, you've got a whole host of things, and then some people have even suggested perhaps some quid pro quo coming into people who are running the auto pen, and we're going to have to get to the bottom of it. And this notion that Joe Biden actually probably should have had the 25th Amendment invoked against him by the cabinet, that makes me wonder if we need to make some changes even in our own Constitution about how this gets done, because all of the cabinet officials, they didn't want to invoke the 25th Amendment. And why is that? Both for political power reasons for their party, but also because they all had their own fiefdoms that they were running. So you've got a massive, Steve, this isn't just limited to the auto pen. This actually filters out and gets broader.
Yeah, it's concerning because there, those that wrote the Constitution could not foresee such a thing because such a thing didn't exist. So the constitutional solution is not there. When we say uncharted territory, it truly is. The most recent polling that I see in Real Clear Politics between you and Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, neck and neck, really shows her with a 1 or 2 point lead. But obviously you're in the thick of this thing and hope to become the next governor of Arizona. I think Katie Hobbs turned out to be everything that people thought she was. Real quickly, sir, what's it going to take for you to win in Arizona?
Well, I think we just have to get out our vote. We have more registered Republicans, and we just have to continue to remind people what she's done. I mean, everything from vetoing an election integrity bill to vetoing that Chinese bill to attacking school choice. She made the state less safe, so we're going to make the state the safest state in the union. We're going to eliminate the income tax, and we're also going to make sure that our border is secure. Those are some basic fundamentals that I'm going to do like right out of the gate, and that would make a marked difference from this current administration of Katie Hobbs.
Yeah, there you go. Congressman Andy Biggs, I always appreciate when you're here, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. The headlines are coming at us fast and furious. There's a lot to cover these days, as you know, and so we try to get as much as possible. Now, coming up after the break, President Trump met with Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany today to discuss trade negotiations, as well as the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, which shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. Details coming up. House today, President Trump met with the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, to discuss trade negotiations between Germany and the United States, as well as the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, after Merz met with Ukrainian President Zelensky just last week. The continuation of President Trump's America First tariffs set to expire in just over a month on the 8th of July. President Trump is raking in all the deals and the investments for America, one country at a time, doing the best he can. The Trump administration has attempted to mediate conversations between the two countries to secure a ceasefire with Ukraine and Russia. However, they seem to have little interest in doing any of that. Here with me to discuss everything that transpired during the meeting, Real America's Voice Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn. Brian, nice to see you today, as always.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Steve.
Let's start with this. The conversation obviously was dominated by Elon Musk, at least in part, for what he said. And I want your take on this. Elon Musk, yes, he was certainly an ally to the president. He was a guy who donated some significant money. But the comment that he made, the only reason Donald Trump won the White House and won the election in 2024 was Elon Musk. I think that's a stretch, to say the least. That's a step too far. Elon, your thoughts?
I think so, too. And let me just preface this. I'm an Elon fan. I think he's done an amazing job with X. He's brought, obviously, back the conservative voice on social media. He supported a lot of candidates that needed it in states that needed some aid. But to suggest that he is the only reason why President Trump won, I think we can all agree that's factually probably not true. No. Although he did bring a lot of independent voters in. But I think that was, I would hope, I'm going to write that one off, Steve, as just kind of one of those emotional texts or those posts that you might put up in a wrong mindset that you wish you could delete. I'm thinking that's the case.
An emotional.
Yeah, I can live with that.
I can live with that. Now, Chancellor Merz was in there, and yes, they're working on with Germany to get a trade deal worked out. But I think more compelling to me is the conversation that the president had with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, by all accounts at this point, has been diminished in his power. There's been a shuffling of power in China over the last years, becoming more and more evident. Some suggesting Xi Jinping might not be long for the office. How important is this phone call, do you think?
It's very important, you know. But if you look at the Chinese leader there, he's the one that literally was locking doors to apartment buildings, keeping his own people, and he would feed them grass forever if they had it. There is no rush on his side, as far as I'm concerned, to get a deal done. They are very prideful of who he is in that awful regime that he has. Now, what I would have asked President Trump today, given the opportunity, is, okay, trade talks are one thing, and tariffs, we get it. But guess what? Those two Chinese students up in Michigan that apparently had this full plan. I mean, that is terrorism. That is agricultural terrorism is what that is. And that's a big deal. I don't know why that's not the #1 story in the country right now. Obviously, President Trump and Elon Musk will be the headline right now. But as of this morning, that should have been the #1 story in the country. The Chinese story has garnered a lot of headlines.
Look, I had experts on this program yesterday and today. This blight that can affect corn, wheat, rice, and barley. In its current form, we have fungicides that can control it to a point. It does impact yields, but if it got a bit more virulent, it could take out half the yield. If their intention was to make it resistant to fungicides, they could have triggered a worldwide famine unless, and this is the big question, the wild card, speculating now, unless the Chinese have already developed a resistant form of grains to this fungicide, which would mean it would be America and the West that would be hit the hardest. It is agricultural terrorism. It should be the #1 story. Brian, I agree with you. It is incredibly dangerous. And how many more? How many more? University of Michigan seems to have a fair share, but these Chinese students are spread out across this nation. So how many more are out there waiting to take their shot at crippling this country? That's the real question. That's the right question to ask the president.
It is. If you remember, along that California-Mexico border, there was a section there that was number one in the nation for the most Chinese immigrants coming through that area.
Right.
And some were caught and some weren't. So, and also it's interesting to note that Xi Jinping, his daughter, graduated from Harvard, so she was educated by our system. The text messages that reveal the way they were going to smuggle these seeds in the country, putting them in the soles of their shoes. It was well thought out, and the scary thing is, we send a lot of poultry and meat over to China to process, and they send that meat back to us, and it ends up in your supermarket. Yep.
Never understood that.
And what's in that?
Yeah,
food?
we ship whole chickens to China and get them back in pieces.
Yeah.
It's strange thing. Brian Glenn, greatly appreciate there from the North Lawn. Thank you, sir, as always. Now,
thank you. Yes, sir.
When we come back from the break, Pete Hegseth has given a stark warning to Taiwan and other Asian countries about China's ever-growing military regime. We'll have that when we come back after a quick break on ABL. Of China becoming a bigger threat than they are already, but it seems that they're marching forward with their military sector. We've seen this new heavy bomber that can release 1,000 drones at a time, and after what we just witnessed from Ukraine, taking out, more than 40 Russian military jets and bombers, man, that seems pretty interesting. It's all about pressure on Taiwan, of course. U.S. Secretary of State Pete Hegseth took to the stage of Shangri-La dialogue with urgency as he warned about the imminent timeline of 2027 as the date to keep an eye on due to China building up a regime powerful enough to overtake Taiwan and other neighboring Asian countries, further adding that those surrounding Asian countries should boost military defense and propose coordination with the United States. Here to talk with me about this, Miami Republican Committee woman and chair of the Capitol Hill Fight Club PAC, Angie Wong. Angie, nice to see you. I want to get to all this military stuff, but I've got to be honest. Top of fold today, I think it should be the biggest story in the country. I know it's getting a lot of attention, but this agricultural terrorism that was planned by 2 students that were caught on their way back to the University of Michigan with fungus that would affect corn. wheat, rice, barley. It could completely destroy crops, knock yields down by 50% or more, and result in famine in this country. That's the kind of ag terror we're talking about, Angie. It is incredibly serious, should be top of mind for a lot of folks. What say you?
Yeah, it's a huge story. Why aren't we talking about this more? And how many more instances did we not catch at the border crossings of this happening? You know what? Wars are no longer fought on the battlefields. It is fought everywhere, including on these farms that potentially could have been contaminated. Just in Texas alone, the Chinese nationals own and control over 200,000 acres. And that's where we're eating from, right? So I'm really curious how far this goes, but it is everywhere. And you know what? U.S., we've allowed a lot of foreign investors in over the decades. We welcome the foreign money. And here is what we get after years of letting people in.
Well, yeah, that's the other part of this whole conversation. All the money that is spent by the Chinese Communist Party to fund these universities so they can fund these studies, so they can send people in. Of course, there were certain border crossings where there were concentrations of Chinese nationals coming in, illegal, unchecked, unvetted, and then unleashed on this country. What are their intentions? Where are they today?
Yeah.
We have no idea because of Joe Biden and his administration. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and President Trump and Secretary Marco Rubio, they were right to limit the amount of student visas coming in, especially the students from rogue states like China, studying things like engineering and aerospace engineering and biotech. I mean, all of these things, we didn't really understand the gravity of what they were dealing with. But now we're starting to see the cracks. We're now starting to see these case-by-case breaks in our system of how they're entering, how it could hurt Americans. Ultimately, all of this is just a national security issue. Why weren't we vetting all these students all this time? Anyone coming in, whether it's a student visa or a foreign employee visa, or just even as a tourist, right? How come we have the tools to do it? Why haven't we been doing it?
Yeah, and so you've got that happening. And then back to all of this technology, and I wonder where we are when it comes to the military field, when it comes to AI and drones and all these things. This heavy bomber that I saw for the first time, others probably saw it previously, where basically the sides open up, it'll release 1,000 drones. Are we prepared for that? Russia clearly was not prepared for that. I think that the whole world said, "Oh my God, look what just happened with a series of drones that would come in and destroy 40 heavy bombers and fighter jets." I mean, the whole world took notice because the way everything is on the battlefield now has just changed. A swarm of drones changed everything, didn't it?
It really did. And you tie that all in with our airports now, all the airport delays. I mean, I've been on 1 million flights where it was delayed in landing because they found a drone in the air. There's so much going on there, Steve. And honestly, I saw that video. I couldn't stop watching it. And now you realize why we need things like the Golden Dome, why we need, the Secretary of Defense to address all these issues. Again, it's not going to be on, the plane. We're not going to be on the ground fighting this. It's going to be
right. And one more thing, because before I run out of time here, Angie, I want you to weigh in on this. The story that I read here just today about Chinese solar panels that have communications abilities in them. So if it's hooked to the grid, it can converse, for lack of a better term, communicate with the electrical grid in America, attacking our infrastructure. Chinese solar panels, bad idea. Chinese cameras, bad idea. Chinese AI, bad idea. I'll just go right down the list. But these solar panels have a way to communicate with our electric grid. It's just the latest way they've come in. I'll give you 20 seconds for the last word.
Yeah, we need to really invest in our AI infrastructure. We need to start building digital twin, especially digital twin cities like our Asian countries have done, just to see the impact of what would happen if we were attacked that way. So all those things are coming to play. Where was the Biden administration of all this? Because they knew this was being built overseas. We had the satellites.
Asleep. And now we know Karine Jean-Pierre wants nothing to do with it. She's fleeing. Anyhow, Angie, greatly appreciate it. Angie Wong, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So, I mean, here we go. I mean, there's so much in the news today. What about the rising violence against American Jews? Anti-Semitic discourse stems from these college campuses as well. Details coming up on ABL. As we continue on what has been a very busy day, to say the least, here. This month, that's the wrong place I need to be. Got ahead of myself. In both these areas with the anti-Semitic behavior on college campuses, you have to ask yourself, how long is this going to go on? The instances of targeted attacks on Jewish Americans have been on the rise. First, with a shooting that took place where a couple of Jewish denominations were shot and killed outside of a gathering in Washington, D.C. Then just a couple of days ago, this horrible tragedy in Boulder where American citizens were set on fire because they were Jewish. Yeah, for holding memorials for those captured in Hamas. In both of these instances, the assailants shouted "Free Palestine" at the top of their lungs to try and signal a reason as to why these tragedies took place. But the rise of anti-Jewish rhetoric isn't a new thing. Some campuses on U.S. soil have facilitated violent pro-Palestine protests. When asked about it, chalk it up to the right of protesting when some of these demonstrations are violent. Here to talk with me about this, the editor-in-chief of Campus Reform, Dr. Zachary Marshall. Look, Doctor, there is a limit here. Free speech is the right to peaceably assemble. Pretty sure that's the way the Constitution reads, the right to peaceably assemble, not set people on fire, not shoot people in the streets because they're Jewish, not hold events on college campuses that prevents Jewish kids from going to class. Where am I wrong?
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And the sad truth is that the Intifada is now on American soil because for 18 months, university professors tried to gaslight us into thinking that these incitements to violence and genocide were free speech. They weren't. It's the same chance we saw when they threw the Molotov cocktails and they killed the two Jews. They were being chanted at Columbia, Harvard, and Northwestern. These university presidents have blood on their hands.
Yeah, they certainly do. And you wonder how they try to justify this. I mean, look, we've been talking at the University of Michigan a lot today about other reasons, but many Jewish students there, ones that I've spoken to, concerned about their safety and their welfare, because many of these colleges, in fact, they all do. They've all got some representation of Jewish students on campus, and the Jewish population in America, I think it's about 2%. So they're a very small minority to begin with. So if they get targeted, they don't have strength in numbers. They don't. But when you see them getting barricaded inside of libraries, afraid to go down the hall, told that they're not allowed on campus. We saw that in places like UCLA last year.
Exactly.
What should the penalty be for those that block them and don't allow them to attend class or to live their lives peacefully? The freedom of religion is one of the foundational principles of this country, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And the reason why people think they can stop Jews from going into buildings or feeling safe on campus or could be punched with impunity is because you have agitators on college campuses, whether it's students or professors, who are calling for violence and genocide. And there is no protection for incitement to violence. There is no protection for supporting terrorism. So they can all be arrested for all I care. And I think for all the Constitution cares. It's criminal that more people haven't been expelled or fired from these universities.
Yeah, there should be real penalties, I would think. And firing would be one thing. I mean, to me, at some point, it seems criminal. It seems criminal. I don't know if it's criminal all the time, but certainly if there's violence, it's criminal. I mean, then you see a judge, which I don't even know how to process this one. The family that's in the country illegally of the man that set American citizens on fire were set to be deported, and a judge intervened and said, no, you can't do that. Mom and 5 kids in the country illegally. Their father, their husband, set American citizens on fire for being Jewish.
Yeah.
And some judge steps in and says, no, they get to stay. What world am I living in? I'll give you the last word.
You're living in the world where Jews are always the exception to what the left thinks is right. I've lost track whether or not the left wants kids together or separated from their parents when they're all illegals. I have lost track of how many times they've changed the rules and moved the goalposts on what they say they believe when Jews enter the picture. It's absolutely heinous.
Yeah. Dr. Zachary Marshall, always appreciate your input. We're going to keep doing the right thing and speaking up on this program and saying, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Thank you for being part of it.
Yep.
This month, Tax Network USA proudly celebrates our nation's birthday, honoring freedom, resilience, and financial independence. To mark the occasion, they're offering 10% off all services through the 4th of July. Now, if you're dealing with back taxes or if you missed the April 15th deadline, don't worry and don't wait any longer. The IRS is rapidly stepping up enforcement. Penalties can add up quickly, up to 5% a month, maxing out at 25% of your total tax bill just for not filing. That's on top of what you already owe. There's good news. Tax Network USA can still help and turn things around. Whether you're self-employed, run a business, or your books are a complete mess, their team knows how to cut through the chaos and find solutions that work. Your consultation is always free, and getting ahead of the problem now could help you avoid harsh penalties, wage garnishments, or surprise bank levies. Take the first step. Call 800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV. And don't forget, you'll get 10% off all services through July the 4th as part of the celebration of our nation's birthday. Regain control of your finances with expert help from Tax Network USA. We'll take a break and be back on America's Voice Live. breaking news for you. It came out in just the last few minutes. You make of it what you want. Elon Musk posting on X. Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. I don't know what to make of that, but I would say this. If the Department of Justice under the Biden administration had this information, they wouldn't have sat on it. They would have released that. They would have released it immediately. And if Elon Musk doesn't have the goods, if Elon Musk doesn't have the files and doesn't have the ability to produce them, I would brace yourself for the mother of all lawsuits. There's no two ways about this. Either it's real, which I find unlikely because the Biden administration had the DOJ files. They had all the information for years. Wouldn't they have released it if they had it on Donald Trump? Of course they would have. So the question is it real, or has Elon lost his mind today? Meanwhile, federal judge Gordon B. Gallagher has blocked the deportation of the wife and 5 children of Mohammed Sabri Soliman. I was just telling you about this. The man charged with attacking Israeli protesters with a makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktails in Boulder on May the 25th. The Biden-appointed judge issued a temporary restraining order citing irreparable harm without due process. A hearing is set for June 17. The family has been in custody since Tuesday and is represented by the ACLU of Colorado, arguing the deportation for a relative's crime is illegal. But deporting them because they are here illegally is, for God's sake. Soliman, 45, an Egyptian national, overstayed his visa and was ordered to leave in March. He faces charges of attempted murder, hate crimes, and assaulting 15 people and a dog outside of a Shabbat in Boulder. State court documents reveal Soliman told investigators he planned the attack for over a year, waiting until after his daughter graduated high school. Homeland Security investigating the family's knowledge of the attack. Apparently, they might have some. After the Colorado attack, President Trump announced a travel ban on 12 countries: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, the Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. He said the U.S. cannot safely and reliably vet and screen individuals from these countries. The White House released this video Wednesday. Listen.
Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others.
Well, 7 other countries also face partial travel restrictions: Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Virginia Democrat Don Bayer called the move bigoted and divisive because Don's an idiot. Trump is standing firm, vowing to keep America safe from all terror threats. It's what he's doing. You see, these countries don't have functioning governments that can vet people properly. And so when people come here, we don't know what their intentions are or what their backgrounds are or who they are, for that matter. It's remarkable that Democrats would continue to defend this. Think about it. Every dollar you spend is either supporting your values or working against them. In today's economy, where you spend your money matters. That's how we take back our country. Patriot Mobile is leading the way as America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Switch today without sacrificing quality or service. You'll get exceptional nationwide coverage because, unlike most budget wireless providers, Patriot Mobile has access to all 3 major U.S. networks. You can even add 2 numbers on 2 networks on one phone, something the big guys can't even do. Stay connected with flexible unlimited data plans to fit your lifestyle. These plans offer high-speed data, mobile hotspots, international roaming, device protection, and even internet backup. Here's the best part. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're supporting faith, family, and freedom. If you believe in our First and Second Amendment rights, the sanctity of life, and supporting our American veterans, this is where you belong. Switching is simple. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based team will get you activated in just minutes. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/RAV or call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month of service with promo code RAV. Make the switch. Defend freedom with every call and text. That's patriotmobile.com/RAV or call 972-PATRIOT. After the break, we'll have a story that reminds us of how wonderful America is, plus your answers to our America's Voice question of the day. What are your thoughts on the Chinese nationals accused of smuggling dangerous pathogens into the country? Agricultural terrorism. We'll have that coming up after the break. I am pretty sure I have whiplash today after all this. We'll just see about that last story. We're following it, and we'll keep up on it. What makes America wonderful? We do it every day in the hopes of putting a smile on your face and to remind you just how great America truly is. Today's story comes to us from San Diego, California, where an organization is helping veterans transition into civilian life more easily by holding monthly events to help them socialize and network. The Honor Foundation, through their Cups of Coffee event, gives veterans a chance to meet and talk with employers to network in order to find work or chances to volunteer after they complete their time in the armed forces. Alex Moffat, a member of the organization, was able to co-start a startup business after 10 years in the military. Thanks to these meetings, and she claims that the transition into civilian life has a different feel, and praises the Honor Foundation as a means to help bridge that gap. Other veterans have also expressed gratitude toward the initiative and praise its straightforward approach, since it's helping veterans build an actionable roadmap to figure out what's next. We can't thank veterans enough for their selfless courage to stand up and serve in order to protect the freedoms you and I practice every day. And the Honor Foundation, through their initiative, gives veterans more to work with and an accessible means to find a purpose after the military. Stories like these are indicative of what makes America wonderful. I want to go back to Put that text back up, if you would. That tweet from Elon. Let's put that back up because, I mean, the responses are pretty interesting. You can follow it. It's on my X page at Steve Gruber Show. Follow me there, please. It was up real quick. If you missed it, here's what Elon put out. Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they've not been made public. And I say to that, well, I think that's probably not likely because if the Democrats had the list and they had Donald Trump dead to right, even if they had other Democrats on there, and some of those folks are going to have to get burned down to take out Donald Trump, they would have taken out Donald Trump. They would have figured out a way to do it. And am I wrong? Isn't Elon Musk? Go ahead, put that up. There you can see my page right there, right? Am I wrong? Isn't Elon Musk the guy with 15 kids from 7 different babies' mamas? I mean, not exactly the compass of morality for the rest of us is Elon. I mean, so then you have to ask yourself, is it a psyop? Are they just playing around? Accounts are hacked. What better way for the liberals and mainstream media to demand the list be released, says Carlin. Pyro Fritz, if it were true, Democrats would have only gone after Trump as a client. Let's see here. Others are saying a meme of Trump and Elon going, that was a good one. Next, call me a retard, he says, maybe. If it was true, says Kirak, they'd have exposed it a long time ago. Larry says, come on, Elon. Who else is on the list? Blow the lid off. Lottie Wilkins writes, Elon reveals his true self. Disgusting. I don't know what to make of it. Grab the popcorn, folks, because this is a grudge match and a big one at this point. Again, follow me at Steve Gruber Show. You'll find it interesting. It's quite something. I'll have the latest on the Elon Donald Trump slugfest tomorrow morning at 6 on the Steve Gruber Show, and then back for America's Voice Live.
Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored.
And it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec.
And so many more.
And the best part?
You can watch Real America's Voice right there on Getter.
Live.
So join the conversation.
Hop on the Getter chat room.
Engage with patriots who are just like you.
Good morning, Getter friends.
We're breaking news, we're delivering the truth,
and we're doing it on Getter
every single day.
So don't wait. Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
It isn't just an app. It isn't just a social media platform. It's a community.
Now, there you go. There you go. Well, interesting bell there. The circle? That's the circle. I have no idea. I've never seen that one before. But he's ringing the bell by hand. There you go. Broadenwall, close. Market's close. We're open. We're open for business. Check it out. Dow down 130 or so, 170 in the Nasdaq. So, folks, this is I got to preface this with market was up a little bit, and then this feud broke out. This feud broke out between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and the first thing to go was Tesla stock. Ben, do we have that Tesla chart? I've been watching Tesla all day just fall apart. Started out a little bit lower, and look at that. The thing had just pooped the bed, as they say on Wall Street. They don't use poop. 200. Look at that. 275 down. $56. That was about an hour ago, folks. So Tesla goes down. The stock market starts to get negative. Everyone's trying to go, what the heck is going on? People took a break. I'll tell you what else got hit. The crypto market. The crypto market got smoked. Let me just take a quick peek on where crypto is at the second. But right now, 101,900 Bitcoin. So we're substantially down, like $4,000 from yesterday alone in crypto. Yeah, there is 102,001, right? So 3,000 as we speak from yesterday. But when we were here talking yesterday, we were about 105,000, 106,000 crypto. So Tesla started to go. Cryptos started to go across the board. Even the Trump crypto coin took a bit of a hit too. It took a substantial hit as well. So everyone's a little nervous about this feud going back and forth. Because remember, Trump said maybe we should pull some of Tesla's, favorable tax treatments, and Elon said, "Well, this bill is bad." And so this fighting. Go ahead, Mad Dog. Tell me again. What do you have?
Just stand by on Brian. Okay,
just waiting on Brian. So this feud's been going back and forth all day. At first, I thought it was a joke. First, I thought this was, maybe they're yucking it up a little bit at our expense. And then it got a little bit more serious. And then I thought maybe this is a way that Elon and Trump can maybe get the Senate to fix some of the things in the bill that a lot of people don't like. Certainly a lot of hardcore MAGA fiscal conservative folks don't like, and we thought that was going back and forth and back and forth. And then it got a little personal. Because Elon made some comments about the Epstein files and Trump being on it. And then Trump said, look, maybe we should pull some of those favorable tax treatments to some of Musk's Tesla, Starlink, et cetera, and those stocks started to hit. So this seems to be real. I mean, I hope we have Ben at the end of the show, see if he can tell us if he thinks it's real. I'm not sure. What's the story? Mad Dog, tell me what's happening. Let me know.
We're still standing by on Brian.
We're standing by. All right, so pull up some of these tweets then. Let's see if you can pull up some of the tweets that have been talking about, that have been going back and forth. No, not the Hexat one. There we go. Elon Musk, without me, Trump would have lost the election. See, that was the first real kind of like stick it to Trump tweet, or call it an X or post on X. So without me, he would have lost the election. And Trump, I've known him a long time. And you remember when he famously said, if someone punches me, I'll punch him back 10 times harder. He was laying low, and I really didn't get it. So he had the German chancellor in the Oval Office, and that may have been the reason why. But it's so unlike Trump to take a shot like that without really going aggressively at him. And then it escalated. Do we have another one? Time to drop the real. Oh, this is the other one. Yeah, this is the one where it kind of got nasty. It's just not kind of. This is uncalled for. Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. It's the real reason they've not been made public. Have a nice day. And of course, the implication there is that the promises for the Epstein files from Pam Bondi, Attorney General, and also Kash Patel, FBI Director, that maybe they were holding. That's the implication. That's the what's going around on social media. Are they holding back because of Trump being in it? I would certainly hope that's not the case, but it's so. And then I don't know if we have it, but Trump saying, there we go. The easiest way to say, here we go. Good job, guys. The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. So hold that tweet up there for a second. There's a reason. There's a couple of things in there, right? So the billions and billions on the subsidies, government subsidies, meaning for electric cars. So if you buy an electric vehicle, right now there's a $7,500 federal grant that you get if you buy an electric vehicle with certain amount of at certain price levels. But the other one, the contracts, right? So the contracts. Think about this is the big one. Now NASA, right? NASA and SpaceX have a massive contract. We were just at NASA a couple of months ago watching a Starlink rocket take off with NASA branding on it. So there's a huge contract in there, and it helps Elon Musk because he's using the government scientists, background, some finances, and on the other side, the government gets to use some of the technology that Elon has developed. So this is really big because it not only hits Tesla with the subsidies for electric vehicles, it actually hits Elon Musk's other company, Starlink, with the government contract. Is he going to pull the NASA contract now? I don't know. I mean, I hope not, because we really do need the space exploration and space travel. I mean, that's a great joint public-private hybrid joint venture that I hope stays in place. And it's really interesting that Trump tweeted or X'd Truth, I guess he did. The easiest way to save money is to terminate Elon's, not Tesla's and Starlink's, Elon. So this, folks, has become extremely, extremely personal. What do you think? Well, hit me up. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about all this. Okay, let's bring in our RAV Chief White House Correspondent, Brian Glenn. Let's talk a little bit about this. Brian, I've been talking about it for the past 6.5 minutes or so. It just feels, I don't know, let's call it icky to me as a lover of both everything Trump is trying to do and doing, and really respect Elon Musk and what he has done. So you feel the same way?
Yeah. I do, Eric. I actually feel a lot like I did on Butler, to be honest with you. And I'm getting some slap back on my IFB guys, just so you know, to correct that. What I mean by that is we had so much momentum. We had so much collectiveness in this party. We had working on the big, beautiful bill. We're working on all the elements. We're making sure the Trump agenda gets funded. We're working on all of that. And then it goes from, maybe it's not the most perfect bill and it doesn't cut and it's got all this stuff, to basically mentioning the Epstein files. I don't know how we got from point A to point B, but it's very disturbing to me. And to be honest with you, I've really had to process this the last 90 minutes or so when these messages were getting fired back and forth. And I obviously, I've got my theory that if in fact there was anything mischievous with that Epstein file, I think the administration that occupied that White House before President Trump would have done everything in their power. They tried to shoot this man in the head. They raided Mar-a-Lago. They hit him with 34 indictments in New York on a bunch of bull crap. And then if they had anything, if there was anything there, they would have played that card and he would not be in the office. So I'm kind of discrediting that, Eric, and I said this during Gruber's show. I'm starting to feel like some of these tweets were just kind of an emotional state, maybe a little anger. Maybe you push something out. Have you ever sent that text message you wish you could resend and have it sent back to you? I'm hoping that the waters settle on this. But if I could, just for a second, and I was trying to get some advice on this earlier, and I was told, don't do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I want these two gentlemen in a room together, and I want that to happen in the next 24 hours. I think it's very important that you take the two most powerful people in the world right now, two people that when they're together on the same team, working hand in hand, they can accomplish anything, and I mean anything. And to have this happen right now is watching a really bad divorce unfold in front of you, and I don't like it, and I know the American people don't like it. I don't give a crap about Ukraine right now. I don't give a crap about Chinese tariffs. I don't give a crap about trade right now. I care about this country. We have the two most powerful people in this country at each other's throat right now, and I don't like it, and it needs to be resolved.
So I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's like watching your two parents, in the midst of a really, really bad fight and divorce. But here's the issue. I mean, Brian, so MAGA, obviously behind Donald Trump's agenda, his policies. We've been very much in support of Elon Musk about basically saving free speech in America by buying Twitter, turning it into a free speech platform. Do we have to pick and choose which dad we want to live with?
Yeah, no, I want to live with both of them. I think we can live with both of them. Look, Elon put a lot of money in, if I'm not mistaken, Pennsylvania to make sure we had enough.
I think over $100 million.
Get out the vote. So,
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he dropped $100 million into Pennsylvania, and he started there. That's where he started. He said, "I commit $45 million the day Trump got shot in the ear, the next morning," and that's where he did start. And remember, he was doing $1 million a day for people to sign up to vote. Remember that? So he spent a lot of money. And I'm not saying Trump won because of Elon. I'm just saying they were buds. I hate this, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and I was just going to add, after the 2020 election, when America was basically demoralized, we were down. We have gotten the election was stolen. You had January 6th, all of that. There were two people in Congress, and I'm going to name them, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. Those two people went on the road and did kind of a Save America roadshow of getting our energy back, getting MAGA back, getting our chin and our head up after we just were defeated. So to say that, Elon Musk won the election. He was big in helping win the election, obviously, with his resources and just getting behind the president. But think of the millions of people that are watching us right now, Eric, that don't have the millions of dollars to donate. They sent the $5 to $10. They went out and door knocked. They put yard signs. They did everything they could to help him win in 2024. And so, my heart goes out to those people. We fought too damn hard to be in this White House, to have this type of dialogue going back and forth. And I'm sorry if I'm angry, it's because I am.
Well, what do you make of folks? And I'll be honest with you, I thought this was some sort of staged, theatrics going on early when the tweets before they got personal, and maybe it was surrounding what Trump is trying to get accomplished with the Senate, with the bill, maybe even who knows, start over. I don't know. It felt like something more. I was missing something, but viscerally, this is real, I guess. Yeah. What are they saying there?
Yeah. I spent some time in the briefing room right before we came on the show, and I was just trying to get the pulse of a few people that were in there, and they are shocked that it's gone to this degree, this personal degree. Now, I can understand this. We disagree on policy all the time. There's Republicans that disagree on policy. There's obviously Democrats that disagree with our policy. But when you go to a personal level, especially you associate President Trump with the Epstein files, that's on a different level. And I don't know. That's why I wish Dr. Drew or somebody was here, because these two individuals need to get the same room, put it out on the table and say, look, this is where we can agree, this is where we can disagree, and this is the middle that needs to be worked on. And that's what needs to happen, Eric, because this country is the greatest country on God's green earth. And I think that Elon Musk has contributed so much with his technologies, with his innovation, with Starlink, SpaceX, Tesla, all these things. President Trump is an innovator. He is a peacemaker. He is the one that is going to transform this country. We need them on the same page. And right now, seeing it unfold in front of us in public, on social media, is disturbing. Now, there is an event going on right now in the Oval Office. He has got a roundtable. I think it's fraternal order.
Hey, Brian, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we are going to take him as on cue. He is sitting down right now. You see if he even referenced this. Brian, if you don't mind, we'll stand by with you and listen to Trump.
Yep.
National Fraternal Order of Police Executive Board, representing nearly 400,000 officers nationwide, and they were with me right from the beginning, and we appreciate it. We won't forget. Your members are the backbone of American law enforcement, and we're deeply grateful for your service, and you have done great service indeed. We're Also joined by our great Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Thank you, Pam, for being here. For generations, this institution has served as a powerful voice for the brave men and women who risk their lives to protect communities all over our country, and they do it as well as anybody or better. I was delighted to earn your endorsement in every one of my presidential campaigns where we did very well, record-setting well, and I'm proud to stand with you today as the most police president, I would say, without question, in the history of America. I don't think anybody's been more for the police than I am. In recent years, far-left radicals have vilified and targeted our nation's police with Marxist prosecutors and soft-on-crime politicians, making it impossible for you to do your jobs and do them the way you want to do them, and only you know how to do them. Under the Trump administration, those days are over. We're backing the men in blue, and we're backing the blue. Very honestly, we have some of the greatest people in the country sitting right around this table. We've ended the use of lawfare against police officers and terminated unjustified federal consent decrees. I signed an executive order directing the Department of Justice to provide legal protection and financial support for officers targeted by very frivolous lawsuits. Oh, I know about frivolous lawsuits better than you do. I can tell you, I had my share of them. I ordered other federal agencies to boost funding for police recruitment, retention, and pay. And I've asked Attorney General Bondi to pursue the death penalty for anyone convicted of killing a police officer, which is very appropriate. Upon taking office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and we reduced the number of illegal border crossers released into the United States by 99.999%. You can't do much better than that. We've removed thousands of violent criminal illegal aliens from our communities as part of the largest deportation effort in American history. And just a few months into office, the national murder rate has plummeted by 28%. It's going down largely because of what you're doing. I'm also deeply grateful to the National Fraternal Order of Police for its resounding endorsement of the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is moving along very nicely with great support. It's a great bill. It's a bill that's going to cut taxes more than any bill we've ever put in the history of our country. It's going to cut costs and expenses by $1.6 trillion, which is the biggest cut in expenses ever. And it's going to do so many other things. You know, our country is doing record business right now. Record investment is coming in. Close to $15 trillion is already committed to come in for building new plants and factories. AI is big. Apple's investing $500 billion plus. They're all coming in. It also includes the largest investment in border security in our nation's history, equipping law enforcement with the tools to stop the invasion. I built a lot of wall, hundreds of miles of wall. Now we're going to build some additional wall where we feel we probably should build it after a little trial and error. And we're going to end up building more wall than even I built, and we built a lot. So I want to thank you for your support, and now let's get the bill passed. We want to get it passed through Congress without delay. In everything we do, we will give our police the respect and the protection and all of the resources that you need. I did that, as you know, nobody wanted to do it before me, where I gave you the military equipment that was excess. They called it excess military equipment. You know that about very well. I think every one of you benefited by that. It was in warehouses, billions of dollars worth in warehouses all over the country, and other presidents didn't want to give it to you. I did, and we gave it to you, and it helped out a lot and saved a lot of police officers' lives. I'd now like to ask Attorney General Pam Bondi to say a few words, followed by FOP National President Patrick Yoes, and then Washington, D.C. FOP trustee Greg Pemberton, and Vice President of the Fraternal Order of Police, Joe Gamaldi, all great people. Thank you very much. Pam, thank you very much.
Thank you, President, and thank you to the Fraternal Order of Police for being an unwavering voice for America's law enforcement. We all know there is no ordinary day in the life of a police officer. Each day, you leave your homes with complete uncertainty as to who you will encounter and what happens each day. You also stand on the front lines against cartels and foreign terrorist organizations while fighting the horrors of illegal drug and human trafficking. I was just in Poland this morning and arrived back not even 2 hours ago. And you have the respect of the entire world of law enforcement around this world. They respect all of you so much. Thank you for making all of us so proud on the worldwide stage. President Trump's Justice Department will do everything to protect you and to support all men and women who wear the badge in this country. We are fully committed to ensuring our local law enforcement officers have access to the resources, tools, and manpower you need to do your jobs. That means boosting recruitment and retention. We want the best and brightest to join your ranks just like you, and we want them to stay in your ranks. Last month, we announced $57 million in grant money available for law enforcement agencies to hire police officers. Through this funding, we anticipate nearly 1,200 new officers will be hired around the country. We're helping to pay for police officers' overtime and supporting President Trump's no tax on overtime. We've also made millions of dollars available for mental health and wellness programs for you around this country. We know how important that is. We're aggressively prosecuting criminals who assault law enforcement officers. We will not tolerate attacks on police officers. Since January, the department has brought 138 cases in 33 states against defendants who have assaulted our officers. Additionally, the DOJ will no longer target police departments with bogus lawsuits and bogus investigations. We are dismissing lawsuits filed by the Biden DOJ against police departments in Louisville, Minneapolis, Albuquerque, and more. We're ending meritless investigations into Phoenix, Trenton, New York City, Oklahoma, and elsewhere. We're also ending consent decrees that take control away from you, destroy morale, and increase violence. Instead, we're working with local law enforcement to give you the tools that you need to make our streets safer. We believe in backing the blue, not just in word, but in action. The Biden administration slandered you, defunded you, and undermined your service. But we stand with you, we honor you, and we will not abandon you. Thank you on behalf of President Trump, the Department of Justice. We are 100% committed to standing with our nation's law enforcement. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you. Thanks, Pam.
Mr. President, first, thank you. Thank you for not only your support for law enforcement as the 45th president, but also your support as the 47th president and all the years in between. You've always been steadfast supporter of the Fraternal Order Police and law enforcement across this country. I want you to know on behalf of our nearly 400,000 members, we appreciate all that you do for us. With us today is members of our executive board, but we also have members of FOP unions in major cities across this country, which have some very serious problems that we're working with, and we appreciate the opportunity to share with you some of our views and work together on this. You know, you made a promise to us, and I want to start by saying this. You made a promise that you were going to address overtime, tax on overtime, and that was a promise made in a new big one big new bill is certainly making good on that promise. We thank you for that. You know, law enforcement officers, we find ourselves in a very difficult position where we're having a serious problem with recruiting retention, as you pointed out. The problem is the people who are working right now are working so many hours and they're forced to work overtime, and now they have the tax liabilities that are associated with being pushed into different tax brackets because of being forced to work. Not only that, they're not getting to keep the money they earn. So you, in a recruiting and retention standpoint, you show appreciation for what we do, recognize what we do in the community, and I want you to know that we're proud to support the bill. This is something that needs to be happening. A promise that you made, and we appreciate you carrying through with it, and know that we're a partner in it. You also made a number of other promises to us, and promises made that we appreciate. And I want to start with one of our first people I'd like to recognize. You promised, and here we're on our nation's capital, revitalizing the city and making it safe again. And no one knows that better than the person who lives it every day and leads the officers in the Metropolitan Police Department and our labor union, and Greg Pemberton. And I'll ask Greg to say a few words.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Mr. President, for having us. My name is Greg Pemberton. I represent 3,000 police officers that work here for the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. The crisis that we're facing, which frankly is more of a calamity, is a staffing crisis. We are authorized to have 4,000 sworn police officers here in the nation's capital. Unfortunately, as of today, we only have 3,190, over 800 vacancies that we have here for this Metropolitan Police Department. And the worst part is that over the past 5 years, we've had a net loss of 600 police officers who've just left this agency in a mass exodus. And the reason for that is that our city council here in the District of Columbia has passed layers and layers and layers of legislation that prohibits our officers from being able to do their job. It exposes our members to administrative, civil, and even criminal liability, even when they go out and do their job properly. It has also stripped our members of their labor protections to fight off these frivolous complaints and these erroneous allegations of misconduct. It all makes for an environment that is almost impossible to keep these staffing levels what they need to be. Frankly, Mr. President, I think the nation's capital, the District of Columbia, is not just a city of 700,000 residents. This is the nation's capital, and it belongs to everybody. It belongs to every American. It should be a safe city. It should be a pinnacle of American society. It should represent the freedom and democracy that we all cherish so much. And anybody should be free to come here and experience that and see what it is that we are here in this country. And the sanctity and safety of the District of Columbia shouldn't be left in the hands of a city council that subscribes to these radical ideologies that we all know are failed, and that we have the empirical data that it doesn't work. It only increases crime and makes cities more dangerous. I want to thank you for creating the Make DC Safe and Beautiful task force. I've met with Orville Green. I find him to be phenomenally qualified to help us out of this mess. I also want to thank you for the appointment of Janine Pirro for the USAO position of DC. I met with her recently, and I found her plan to solve and tackle a number of these problems very promising, very optimistic. So the 3,000 police officers stand at the ready, Mr. President, to help you make DC great again, and hopefully we can solve some of these problems and fix crime here in the nation's capital.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, it's the topic of the day. Pretty much every day now is the unmitigated disaster that has created in cities across this country with the open borders. And all the problems that it has done for quality of life, it's done for our safety within our communities, safety of the officers that work in the communities. And you've been a big, great advocate of putting us back together. And I'll ask our Vice President Joe Grimaldi to touch on.
President Trump, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't start by saying thank you. Thank you for the incredible efforts by you and your administration to deport these people who have come to our country illegally and then refuse to follow the very laws that we hold so sacred. Our officers, especially in sanctuary cities, are tired of arresting the same people over and over again who never should have been here in the first place. We have lost friends, co-workers, unimaginable trauma to American citizens and families. And the most frustrating part from a law enforcement perspective, what it was 100% avoidable. And now we have judges who are standing up for gang members, murderers, robbers, rapists, blocking deportations, obstructing the very will of the American people. It's a disgrace. And if they had a shred of integrity, which I assume they don't, they would resign in shame for what they're doing right now. But I would just ask that you continue to work with us, continue to support with us so that we can partner with all of our great federal agencies out there, continue to carry out this mission. And again, thank you for securing the border and once again, making our country one of law and order.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes. We're going to have a little discussion now, very private. And I just want to thank you all for being here. And thank you very much, media. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, any response to Elon Musk claiming about the EST file?
Mr. President. Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Okay, folks, they cut off the audio. We didn't do that. The pool, again, the pool rotates. They take the shot. If he says something, they're going to take it. If he starts to talk again, I'm sure that the pool will jump in, and we shall jump into it. Do we have Brian Glenn standing by? All right. Okay. So B, you heard it, and You and I have known this guy. I've known him a very long time. And he was a subdued Donald Trump. I think this Elon feud is weighing heavily on him, as I saw right there. I mean, these events in the East Room and in the White House, he loves these. And he knows the cameras are rolling. This one, he cut it very, very short. Your thoughts on? Did you see anything? Would you agree with me or disagree with me that the Elon feud was on his mind?
You can tell something's on his mind. I agree with you 100%. He was engaged in what was going on. I don't want to discredit that. He obviously is a big supporter of police, and they love him, and he absolutely is behind that. But knowing what we know and what the world knows, you can't help but think that is on his mind right now. This should be issue number one. I mean, really, any phone call with China or Russia, Ukraine conflict, or anything, that's secondary compared to making sure that this country is somewhat unified and we can move the legislation that needs to go forward, Eric, that fun stuff. People need to be reminded that if his 2017 tax cuts, if we don't get them in this bill, which I don't think there's a problem that they won't be, but everyone's taxes will go up probably around 60%. There's a lot of seriousness that's happening right now. It is interesting to watch some of the media. I've been just kind of observing in the last 20 minutes of just kind of walking around, and this is indeed, Eric, the biggest story right now. Go turn on any major legacy network. They're talking about this Elon Musk-Trump feud. I am seeing some tweets online that said that this is not the first time that Elon Musk has, use that type of language towards somebody incorrectly. So I want to go back to our original thought on this, that maybe this is one of those emotional moments that we just want to disagree with somebody and we say something that we really don't mean. Well, we know it's not.
I want to be optimistic like that too. I want mom and dad not to divorce too, but look what happened in the minute that we were listening to Trump. Ben, pull that, Ben, if you guys have that tweet that Elon Musk, he was referring to Donald Trump's tweet that said, easy way to say money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. And again, I point out that Trump used Elon's name, not the name of the companies who are getting the subsidies, because they're companies. But look what Elon tweeted back. He said, in light of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. That is a very big setback for NASA. That joint venture between NASA and SpaceX was very, very good for both sides. It's a public-private relationship that is very good for both sides. They'll feel it, NASA. And I always have to wonder, this NASA pick that Elon Musk wanted, he wanted the NASA administrator, his name escapes me right now, and Trump pushed him back out and said no, and then Elon left. I wonder if this is part of this ongoing feud.
Yeah, no, it has to be a part of it, I would think. And one of the easiest solutions would be just make Elon in charge of NASA too, and just say, okay, you got SpaceX, you got NASA, go have fun, bring us back to the moon, which from what I understand, they're working on that.
They are.
Returning. They are. Yeah, I mean, that would have been.
So NASA, I'll jump in very quickly. NASA is Artemis. Artemis is the NASA project to get back to the moon. Artemis. Elon Musk is looking to go to Mars. The two of them were working together. It was a marriage made in heaven, so to speak, at least for the space industry. But I digress. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I mean, that's what everyone was talking about. I can imagine in my lifetime, I was born in 1969. I didn't get to witness that, but I would witness it now if it happened again. So it is a step back, I think, in space exploration. But I'll go back. It still has this, America's got this tone right now that we should not have the two most powerful people in the world. I mean, Eric, that building right there, the White House, that is the center of the universe. And the policies that come out of the White House with President Trump send massive earthquakes across this globally, economically. Can change the world. He could bring peace. He could start wars. That type of influence. And so we have two powerful people at each other's throats like they are. It's not a good thing.
So, if I may, just
the bleeding heart liberal that's saying let's all get together kind of thing.
Number one, it pisses me off that the left is going to run with this as like there's some sort of major rift
they are.
in MAGA war. I hate that. But you know what? They deserve to do it because for all appearances, it looks like they may be right with that, so that bothers me. But I will tell you, you're right, that building right behind you, that grounds you're standing on are sacred, they're hallowed, they're powerful. Donald Trump's the president. He's the president of this country. He's basically the most powerful man on the planet. Elon did a great service, is doing a great service to conservatives, to Trump, to everyone, but he's not bigger or more powerful than A. Trump or be the office of president of the United States. So we thank Elon. I hope they do get their act together, but he's gotta let Trump be Trump. You can be a first bro, but you can't be de facto president. Final thought on that. Quick thought, Brian. Final thought.
Final thought, and I 100% agree with you. I think perhaps tomorrow, let's see what the news cycle looks like overnight. And the bottom line, that big, beautiful bill, it's got to get worked out. It's got to go to the Senate, it's got to take some things out, come back to the House. They'll get a chance to vote on it again. And let's just move forward. I appreciate you having me on today.
Brian Glenn, rock star as always, jumped to the camera, got it going, and we get the best flavor of certainly any White House correspondent reporter. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, folks, Trump administration trying to move mountains at the speed of light. However, when they're trying to right the country, they can also take your personal finances into account. You have to do that. You should. And that's why thousands of Americans are buying gold right now from who? Our friends at Birch Gold. These folks are awesome. I've dealt with so many gold companies, Birch Gold by far the best. Here are the facts. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 30%. That's 1 year, folks. Name one other thing that's gone up by 30% a year besides food prices. Central banks are buying gold in record quantities, so demand doesn't seem to be subsiding, and the real reset is on the horizon. We told you about that one, where BRICS nations are looking to unseat the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency. That would hurt. That would be bad for our savings. But you can find peace of mind in gold. Birch Gold makes it extremely easy to convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in actual physical gold. Or you can even buy some coins and gold bars to store in your home safe. Just text the word America to 989898 and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, only useful information. By the way, with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of protecting your savings, your assets today. Text the word America to 989898. And before we head to break, just want to remind you about podcast and YouTube page updated daily. You can hear the show, this show, tons of other stuff. Just do me a favor, subscribe at one of those places, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Rumble, etc. iHeart. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. know, Mad Dog. Can you jump on the horn? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm a little sad. I mean, it's a beautiful shot of Washington Capitol. Yeah, I'm a little sad what's going on there. About this Elon Trump thing really kind of...
It is a beautiful shot.
A beautiful shot, but it saddens me that these two are fighting like this. Don't like it. Don't like it one bit, folks. The new administration in Washington, D.C. has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, but there's only so much the government can really do if we really want to make America healthy again. That starts at home with each and every one of us, and that's where the wellness company comes in. You can see and hear from TWC doctors all the time on this network. They are on all the time. They talk to us, and you know that their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and, by the way, healthy. The wellness company gives you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their series of prescription medical kits that contain an assortment of life-saving medications, and, by the way, guidebooks to assist you in the proper use of those medications. Additionally, the wellness company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Well, these things can help you stay healthy and live a longer and healthier and satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Go to www.twc.health/voice today and order. That's twc.health/voice. And by the way, use that promo code VOICE and save 10%. All righty, Washington buzzing right now, or, Elon and Trump's feud, but also, let's not lose sight of the big, beautiful bill, the BBB. I guess everyone decided to wait a little while before making a massive deal about this because we all knew the bill was coming. We all know. Yet it wasn't until a few days ago that everyone started fighting over it. I guess when it passed the House, it got real for the left, so they started ramping it up. First it was Elon, then Rand Paul, which led to Trump to weigh in. Now Chucky Schumer, just watch this nonsense.
And we all know one thing. Donald Trump is just lying about the bill. Lying about the bill. Well, here's the "we are all going to die" act.
We're all going to die act? You think that was a little, hyperbolic, Chuck Schumer? Well, I do. I think you're nuts, Chucky. When Chucky Schumer isn't telling everyone that we're all going to die because of a spending bill, he's raising awareness about the illegals that our tax dollars no longer pay for. Watch.
Roughly 1.4 million illegal immigrants losing their coverage under state-funded health programs. Is reducing federal Medicaid payments to states that provide coverage to undocumented immigrants a reform that you would support?
The bottom line is this overall bill is so awful. If they want to if they got some specific issues, aim it. Don't just do a meat axe or a chainsaw across the board and cut everything. I don't know if their numbers are accurate. These are GOP numbers. It doesn't matter.
Clown, they're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. And they're stopping illegals from coming into this country. Exactly what Trump was voted in to do. Seems like the Fed is preparing to punish the American people because they don't like Donald Trump. You heard me right. It seems like even the Fed is considering, rate cuts. They're not doing it fast enough. But they don't want to do it while Trump is in office. Listen to Jerome Powell.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer run objective. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
See, Trump is asking Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. It becomes easier to borrow money. Things get easier to purchase. Trump wants him to do it. For some reason, he doesn't want to do it. He's worried about high inflation. Inflation's coming down, folks. Inflation's coming down. Jerome Powell knows very well when the price of oil goes from $100 a barrel, $95 a barrel for the vast majority of the Biden administration, and it's hovering around $62, $63 a barrel right now, inflation is coming down. This whole idea of we're going to go slow. You were slow on the way up, and it cost Biden his presidency. Don't be slow on the way down, Jerome. CNN just said that investigating Biden is basically pointless. Yet these clowns had no problem covering the Trump investigations wall to wall on a daily basis. In fact, Republicans were even mocked for wanting to investigate the former president. Listen to this hypocrisy.
Just to look at the investigation so far, so you see on your screen into Biden allegations, the political interference alleged into the Hunter Biden case, the cover-up of Biden's mental fitness, the alleged cover-up, that's what they're looking at, the use of the auto pen, particularly on executive orders. What do you make of this effort?
Well, the other key difference from when Comer was trying to rally votes around impeachment and now is that Joe Biden is no longer president of the United States. So it's a very backward-looking exercise, one that will do wonders.
So these idiots, they're losing their audience. They lied to the American people, and they can't even be honest after they realize that they're getting smoked. Sunny Hostin from The View, remember that lady, just gave her, I don't know, maybe one of her worst takes ever. Her fear-mongering masterclass of the week, let's call it that. She actually claimed, get this, that Elon Musk's and Doge's cuts to foreign aid killed 300,000 children. That's what she said. Pretty serious statement to make on national television. I'd like to see the data on this one, Sonny.
But the damage that he did was just really incredible. He slashed 250,000 federal employees, more than 8,500 contracts, more than 10,000 grants, and his cutbacks on medical research cost the lives of the foreign aid, cost 300,000 lives, mostly children. That's the damage that Elon Musk did. So I don't think anyone should be listening to him about anything.
You know, it's hard to sue someone when they're on television. It's just because there's some protections around people who talk for a living. But to claim that Elon Musk is responsible for 300,000 deaths, mostly children, as Sunny Hostin just said, you're an idiot. And you're a lawyer, Sunny Hostin. It's incredible. If I'm Musk, my lawyers are paying you a visit, subpoenaing you at The View on the Upper East Side of New York City tomorrow. I hope they do. New York needs a new mayor, no doubt. I think most of us can probably agree on that. Unfortunately, the talent pool there ain't all that deep, folks. Take a look at this campaign ad from Zoran Mamdani, the candidate for the mayor's position in New York. He's making promises to New Yorkers in a foreign language. Kid you not.
बात ये नहीं है कि मैं क्या बनूंगा, बात ये है कि मैं क्या करूंगा हमारे कम्युनिटीज के लिए और हर एक न्यूयॉर्कर के लिए। मैं हमारे शहर को अफोर्डेबल बनाऊंगा। न्यूयॉर्कर्स मुश्किल से अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं रोटी, कपड़ा और मकान। मैं ये सब बदलने के लिए लड़ रहा हूँ। रेंट फ्री बसेस, यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर और सस्ती ग्रोसरीज के जरिए। पर आपको एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ, तुमने कभी किसी को वोट किया?
Hey, Mr. Mayor. Hey, jackass. Didn't you hear Trump made English the official language? If you're going to run for the mayor of the largest city in America, maybe you want to stick to English. And if that wasn't bad enough, here's another candidate to run the city that never sleeps, Adrienne Adams, who says it's her mission to protect illegals.
Let's say that you learn that ICE is planning to stop immigrants outside your hospitals for possible roundups. Would you warn them? And how would you handle this situation? You have a minute.
You know, it's work that I'm already doing as Speaker of the City Council. So I've already stepped up in leadership to do this. I've had a target on me because I refuse to erode our sanctuary city laws, and I have refused to do this. My mission is, and will be when I am mayor, is to protect the immigrants of the city of New York.
They get killed on immigration in 2024. They get crushed, destroyed. Eric Adams says, I was wrong. New York City shouldn't be a sanctuary city. Gavin Newsom says, we were wrong. We have to rethink these things. And this clown wants to be the mayor, and she will protect illegals. It's crazy. It's crazy, folks. I tell you what, hit me up on, but let me, I'm on the Rumble chat, and I'm also on the Gator chat. You guys are going back and forth on this whole Elon Musk versus Trump. It's the news of the day, folks. It's the news of the day. We're going to stick with it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes, see if Bannon's around. If not, we're going to talk a little bit more about it on the backside. All right, folks, San Francisco, California. Oh, Mad Dog, is that the volcano? Is that the San Francisco volcano?
I don't think that's a volcano. I think it's a...
It's a hill. Copy. All right, folks, listen. All morning, we got to talk about it. Woke up early this morning. There was a little feud that started. Seemed fairly innocent. Started out fair. A couple of shots going back and forth. Elon didn't like the big, beautiful bill. We've been talking about it. Trump was laying low. He had the German chancellor in the Oval Office laying low. So not that one yet. That got a little, after it gets, okay, you guys are showing it fast. You're firing them fast. Elon starts taking shots at the big, beautiful bill. Trump says maybe we should pull some subsidies you can do them now, to Tesla and to Starlink. And then Elon drops a bomb saying, here's the big one, the big kahuna. Trump's in the Epstein files. And then people just went apoplectic. So you know where I stand. President Trump's the most powerful man in the world. He was elected to do a job. He's doing the job he believes that the American people will benefit from the most, including the big, beautiful bill, which there are things in the big, beautiful bill that we all don't like, but we support Trump, so we do it. I love Elon Musk. He protected free speech. He kept free speech in America. He was a very great assistant to Donald Trump when he was winning the presidency. I don't know if he would have won without him. I say he probably would have won without him, but Elon thinks he had a lot to do with Trump winning. Not sure about any of that stuff. What I do know is Elon Musk is a great American patriot. So this feud, again, Elon has said, he's admitted he's on the spectrum. Okay, so if he said it, you got to take some of these tweets with a grain of, or X posts with a grain of salt, all right? He's emotional. He's reactive, okay? I hate this fight that's going on. We just hate it. These two are two great Americans, two great patriots. Trump's the best president to ever walk the earth. Elon Musk is the best businessman, best business mind the world has ever seen by multiples. I'd like this thing to go resolve itself. I don't know if it will. Maybe too much water under that bridge, who knows? But the one I really didn't like, if you can put that tweet up with Elon talking about Starlink. So after Trump says that we may pull some of the federal grants for Tesla cars and such, Elon said, well, we're going to start dismantling the space program. Now, we spent some time at NASA. This Starlink NASA partnership, it's a public-private partnership, has been phenomenal for both sides. It's been great for NASA. It's been great for Elon Musk and Starlink. It's been great for the American people. Space exploration is very important to medications, all things. This was a great partnership. It was very, very good. I hate to see this. This is the very, very negative fallout of two dudes duking it out in public, I would say. I want to remind you, we did an ice raid last week, and it was a phenomenal ice raid. I got the opportunity to Tom Homan and Christy Nome gave me this opportunity. Have a little sights and sounds from that ride along. Take a look.
Early morning hours, just days ago, we were granted rare access to a major bust of some real bad hombres, Tren de la Agua gangbangers.
All right, folks, we're going out on two Tren de la Agua members, one to murder. So we're going to deport both of these people. Law enforcement is here, present. This is what we voted for. This is what we paid for. This is what we wanted. And look at this, 22 different officers, 7 different law enforcement agencies. This is legit. We're vested up. This could get crazy. Who knows?
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, was the lead. But there were 7 agencies present, including the FBI, the DEA, HSI, federal marshals, and Florida Highway Patrol, among others. We blurred the faces to protect the identities of the officers. Tren de la Agua is known to use highly sophisticated facial recognition technology to identify our officers and rain down terror on them and their families. In the following video compilation, you will see these thugs get arrested and hauled off to ICE detention centers and then on their way to deportation. These raids are highly planned, highly successful, very dangerous.
We're sitting here, we're waiting. We got to the location, the pre-dawn location. 22 law enforcement officers from 7 or 8 different agencies are involved. A couple of bad guys, 2 separate raids, busts, removals, I guess we'll call it. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so thank you. So these are targeted enforcement actions. So this particular individual that we are looking to target is a suspected TDA member. He has involvement in aggravated assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. He also has aggravated battery, bodily harm charges. Right now, we're just setting up. We're at the location where the target may be. Our team leads on this. They're situated where hopefully this target will, they've done their homework. So the agents, the officers have done their homework. So they've been tracking his patterns.
These raids are highly planned, highly successful, very dangerous, and ultimately make our streets safer for law-abiding citizens. This day, 2 TDA gangbangers would be busted. In addition to being illegal aliens, they're wanted for assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to kill, murder, and money laundering.
Couple of bad guys, couple of really, really bad hombres off the streets, thanks to ICE. Thank you, Tom Homan and Christy Noem, for that opportunity. Okay, folks, war.
I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, the words of, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate, and which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. And, they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles, and they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. He recommended somebody from that he, I guess, knew very well. I'm sure he respected him, but to run NASA. And I didn't think it was appropriate. I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting. To be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too, but there's something about this one.
Up and pop some popcorn. It's 4 o'clock in New York. The alliance between the world's richest man and the world's most powerful, Donald Trump, is imploding right now in real time before our very eyes, with Trump and Musk tearing into each other inside the Oval Office and online. It appears that Elon Musk, after donating $277 million of his own money to the Trump campaign, after serving as Donald Trump's political heat shield for the first 5 months of his second presidency, did so while doing permanent damage to his business empire, to the federal government, and his personal reputation and legacy. But after all that, even Elon Musk is not immune from the golden rule that for Trump, loyalty is a one-way street. But Musk is not going quietly into the night. After days of Musk trashing Donald Trump's signature domestic policy, his big ugly bill, as Elon Musk called it, Trump finally broke his silence. Watch.
Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate. He knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next.
Slim, beautiful bill for the win. Slim is the emphasis there. Keep the good, remove the bad. Wise words, and I couldn't agree more over 2012 and 2013 tweets from Donald Trump ranting about the debt. And whatever, keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair, but ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. Also false. This bill was never shown to me even once and was passed in the dead of night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it. And then here's the important one. Without me, Trump would have lost the election, Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. That's what he followed that up with. That feels a bit different about this.
Yeah, you're right. It is personal. I think it reflects not just what's happened in the last few hours, but what's happened over the last 4 months. So there's a certain, shelf life with Trump, with anybody around him who sits in the shadow of the spotlight he wants to occupy, right? And so I think this reflects a certain frustration that had been growing with Elon Musk over these last 4 months. They would have figured some way for him to stick around if everything was going really well. They didn't. He left. And so I think, it reflects something larger than just today.
Let's stop here for a second. Why does any of this matter, right? Two tarantulas in a bowl. Why does it matter? Well, here's why. When the most powerful person in our government fights with the richest person in the world, we, as a public, get to peer deep inside the most corrupt and superficial alliance in American political history. And as they claw and strike rhetorically at one another, they affirm our deepest concerns and suspicions. Trump confirms that Musk was always only in it to enrich his companies, and Musk confirms that Trump was always for sale.
Yeah, it's absolutely delicious to watch, and were it not so impactful for the future of the country, you could laugh at it. Bannon is a guy who has defined himself as a thug, and thugs must do thuggish things. I think that Elon Musk has no idea what he's getting into when he gets in a fight with Steve Bannon over this. And, under all of this sort of, I suspect Bannon thinks about this. There's a very good chance, there's been a lot of reporting, that Elon Musk was not a student when he got a visa. And when he got went through his process of becoming a naturalized citizen, that he put false information on that document. If that's true, that is grounds for revoking the citizenship. It happens all the time. And under the Trump, that would mean deporting Musk and his children. You could make a case that one of the reasons Musk is so obsessed with immigration is because he knows this. I think that in the heart and soul of MAGA out there, I'm with you. I would not bet against Steve Bannon.
I want to deal with the substance of this, and I promise to do that. But because for Trump it's never about the substance, I want to stay with the leading men in Trump's life, with you, Stuart Stevens. The idea that Elon Musk is the alpha only exists in a world where Trump can be bought. And what's so amazing to me is that Trumpism has always been transactional for Trump, but we've never seen the public display of someone else getting to grift of Trump's presidency. Elon Musk feels like the beta for that, right? A real test case.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's Thursday, 5 June, the year of our Lord, 2025. I had to step out this morning to go to a meeting that was quite important. I'll give you details on that later. But Dave Brett took us home this morning, and wow, I guess
that the meeting with the Chancellor of Germany did not totally focus on the kinetic part of the Third World War. President Trump started talking about his thoughts about the bill and about comments and observations by Elon Musk, and then talked about Elon Musk and his time there. And of course, Elon Musk was live tweeting at the entire time. Jack Posobiec joins us. Folks, to say it's devolved from there would be a vast understatement. This is unprecedented. It is unprecedented and unnecessary from Elon Musk. Some of the things he's putting up are just outside the bounds of any, forget civility, but any type of behavior of which I don't want to remind people. I told folks about that last cut right there. Stuart Stevens and Nicole Wallace said you don't want to get into a fight with Steve Bannon, and Bannon's going to win this thing, or Bannon's going to think, was from 31 December of 2024. Jack Posobiec, get us up to date. Some of these tweets are calling for President Trump to be impeached, bringing up the Epstein situation. Many others even worse, saying President Trump's only got 3.5 years left. He's got 40 years. Walk me through. You know Twitter better than anyone. Walk us through what Elon Musk is saying about the President of the United States, President Trump, right now.
Well, Steve, what can I say? It's a hot day on X, but I'm staying frosty. I am maintaining maximum frigidity. I am sub-zero. But look, you're seeing a lot of throwdowns here. Look, this isn't the female-coded MSNBC talk. No, this is a throwdown. This is how men communicate. This is how men talk. And you've got a situation here where, yes, Elon has been retweeting things, calling for President Trump's impeachment and J.D. Vance to be installed as president. He said that he's going to be decommissioning the Dragon program, so taking out SpaceX. President Trump posting that he's going to cut all of Elon's contracts for SpaceX, that if he's worried about subsidies and all the rest and spending, that he's going to cut Elon's contracts, will be the first thing to go, and says that he doesn't understand why Biden never did. I'm not really sure how the libs are taking all of this. They're not sure if they need to be torching their Teslas or revving their engines right now, whatever you do with an electric car. But a lot of this seems to be, I think it's beyond the EV credit at this point. This is the battle of the billionaires, and at the end of the day, you can't have two CEOs of one country or one company. You can't have two CEOs. You can't have two presidents. You can't have two bulls in one field. And that's what this has come down to. Only one of these individuals was elected president of the United States, and that name is Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. We got a bull and we got a baby calf. As I've said, this guy, the reason this guy's so dangerous is that he doesn't know anything. He's a know-it-all. He knows some engineering. Don't get me wrong. I give a hat tip for that. But he doesn't know anything about the real world. Doge was, for any fanboys that still exist, while you're wrapping up in your cape tonight, understand on Doge, he didn't find any fraud. There's plenty of fraud out there. This is President Trump's first complaint. Was this all BS, right, with the Doge? The act that President Trump should be taking immediately, I think, when he threatens to take one of the big programs out of SpaceX, President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight. The U.S. government should seize it. If a guy's going to sit there and start making quotes, also, as Stuart Stevens talked back in January, I don't know why we haven't had a full investigation. Look, if you're going to deport illegal aliens, you got to deport illegal aliens. The good go with the goose and the gander. They got to go back to this, as Stuart Stevens talked about, and go through everything about his immigration status. I happen to believe, given the facts that I've been shown, that he's an illegal alien, and illegal aliens got to be deported. Also, this drug use is reported in the New York Times. The drug use in the New York Times, if that's a fact, that ought to be investigated. You can't have a security clearance, Jack Posobiec, as you know. Jack, if somebody in your unit had that type of drugs, and they had a security clearance, what would happen to them, sir?
Well, Steve, remember that Hunter Biden popped positive, I believe, for cocaine on his very first weekend in the Navy Reserve, and even at that time, I don't remember if I think his father was still the vice president at the time. He wasn't president yet, or auto pen president yet, and Hunter Biden was summarily separated from the United States Navy over his very first weekend at drilling as a Navy reservist over popping positive.
Also, it should take his security clearance away, and all contracts should be suspended pending that investigation. Also, as I said on the Tim Pool show in Matt Gaetz's office, I think over a year ago, right? That was over a year ago, where I said, hey, he's an agent of influence of the Chinese Communist Party because of his financial relationship in Tesla. That should be fully investigated. President Trump is a bull. Elon Musk is a baby calf, okay? And now it's time for the good of the country, the republic. Forget MAGA and the Republican Party. This is a national security issue now. It's raised to the level of national security issue of a very unstable individual that's out saying very, I think, dangerous things about the President of the United States. And he has to be investigated, should be investigated immediately. And all contracts associated, all government contracts should be immediately suspended, given an investigation. Jack Posovic's going to stick with us. Jack's all over the Twitter. This fight really metastasized when President Trump was just walking through Dave Bratt about the big, beautiful bill that Elon's been attacking. Johnson just tweets out, I can't. Johnson keeps saying, I'm calling him, but I can't get him on the phone. No, please, Johnson, don't make yourself bigger Polly Pockets than you already are. Don't tell the world he won't take your call. You're Speaker of the frickin' House, dude. Start acting like it. God. If the guy won't take your call, don't tell the world about it. And don't send him any more information. He's got all the information. Tell him to pick up Politico. Tell him to go to The Hill. They got plenty of good information there. Go to Gateway Pundit, right? Go to Breitbart. Matt Bolin's team is breaking it down. Give him Dave Bratt's cell number. Have him text Dave Bratt. Right? Go to Getter and get Dave Bratt's charts, okay? That's what he needs to do. You don't need to send him inside information. Do you think that's going to change his mind after what he said about President Trump this afternoon? A bull and a baby calf. Jack Posobiec, Dave Bratt, and yours truly. We'll break it all down in a moment.